26 minutes early.
Well, actually, we advertised.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
8 p.m.
Okay, we will call the meeting to order. It is Wednesday, December 1st, 2021. Please stand for the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Born and unborn.
Okay, we will dispense with all of our minutes and reports and everything and go right into, or do you have a report?
I have no reports.
Oh.
We're good on that.
Do you have anything new since yesterday?
Yes, we got an email from Debbie. She's meeting with BKD tomorrow to talk about the premium pay. So
Okay.
we'll hopefully have some guidance then. We got a little information and we might have something to go off of. I think it'll help.
Okay. Do you have anything?
Money guidance.
No, that was timely. to get that yesterday.
Yes, it was. Okay, anything else?
You'll have to give me a minute, I'm not ready. I came down and asked and y'all said 30.
We're going by what the youngest commissioner, he's anxious to get going.
So one thing when they were talking about that premium pay, there was stuff in there about it being retroactive, and I didn't think you could do that.
No,
Well,
I'm not looking at doing it that way.
You can't do it in Missouri that way. I'm thinking just because of our constitution, that other states may not have that same limitation.
Okay, so that was a self-limited,
Yeah, other
Deal with
states
that.
might be able to go back.
Doing Ralph first.
Is he since I spilled my coffee on my laptop, I don't,
Yes.
Ralph is first. Ralph, you were first. Okay. By golly.
Sorry to interrupt. Sure. Harry and Jeff, I was wanting to meet, and with all three of you, I was wanting to meet with you all today before I didn't think y'all started at 8:30, so.
I didn't think so either, but we were ready,
Well,
so.
if when you get done today, if you can give me a call. No, I gotta talk.
He's
to
done,
you.
talk to us each separately, just kind of
But when you
preview.
get done today, if y'all get a break, just let me know. I need to run by these POs.
He likes to suck up
Say
in present
please.
in private.
Thank you, sorry.
You didn't have any donuts with you. I didn't really want to talk to you that bad.
Today is Pie Day, National
Tomorrow
Pie
we'll have
Day.
pie. Tomorrow we'll have pie. Don't
I thought that
worry.
was March 14th.
I don't know, it's my budget, so I'll have pie.
They were talking Pie Day.
Page 57, guys.
Oh, yeah, keep us focused here, thank you.
I got an appointment at 12:30, so we're going to be on schedule.
So what?
All right. Heck, I'm planning on being done before that even. All
I'll be
righty.
back.
Okay.
Thank you. No,
Okay,
because they're
Ralph,
just
you
doing
got
things,
any-
so the meeting's
Come
kind
on,
of just,
come on up.
so I don't really need to be over there.
Ralph's
I just gotta have the
probably smaller
microphones. So I'll be
than
back.
ours. Quicker.
Microscopic.
Bring my binoculars tomorrow.
You're supposed to be able to see.
I can see that fine, but right from my face.
Oh, yeah.
I can't see.
Oops, excuse me.
I can't.
Sorry, I took your stuff. Oh, whose stuff is that? Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Switch these out real quick.
Okay.
Don't mind me.
Don, is it on or is it not on?
Is it on?
We're
That
on.
one is on. I'm putting brand new batteries in them, and
Okay.
they were
Okay.
both dead, so I'm just using.
Okay,
Okay,
let's proceed.
all right. So first of all, I want to start out, I've been in the job 16 months, and I feel like I have achieved some success. But I think that success is because of a team effort.
Sorry, Ralph, we're a little discombobulated this
A little
morning.
disorganized.
Are you setting stuff up for him? Okay, go ahead. I just didn't see my.
He's ready.
We
Yeah.
had a coffee incident yesterday where he spilled it into his laptop, so he's getting it back this morning. Hopefully, we're good.
But anyway, I gotta tell you all, you've been very supportive and you've been a good resource. for imparting knowledge to me about how the county works. That's been very helpful to what I do, so I want to thank you all for that. So let's start with the budget. Let's talk about salaries first. And so the increases I've asked for is reflective of what I think my deputies have done in the last 16 months and what my expectations are. And I'm trying to get with each of you three commissioners individually to share with you anecdotes about how the job goes and what our deputies and what I have to deal with on a daily basis. And right now, it's taken me about 7 or 8 months, but I think I've got a solid core of good performers. And I hope to God I can keep them together. One factor that will work in my favor is to offer them a competitive salary. And I think what I have proposed makes sense. It's within the salary grid based on the grid that I have. And so that is why I proposed the salaries that I did. And like I said, I think they're within the range. And you also have to understand that with my deputies, they have to be counselors. They have to be accountants. They have to step up to the plate every day to manage the lives of over 200 people. And as you well know, these individuals have developmental disabilities, they have mental disabilities, or they have other situations that require very sensitive situations. There are days when it is relentless in terms of the phone calls and the nature of those phone calls. The deputies, as well as me, deal with life and death situations, not every day, but almost every week, and especially with COVID. And so with the core of deputies I have now, the salaries I am proposing, I think make sense, and I think will ensure that I can keep them together.
So Ralph, let me interrupt for just a minute. I kind of give you an overview of what I included in the budget. I think it's a little different than what Ralph proposed. So just a little bit of history with Ralph's department. His was an oddity for a while that he had administrative assistants instead of deputy public administrators. That kind of has changed over the last couple of years. And we've made some salary adjustments to kind of get those positions where we want them. He proposed 2 adjustments for, well, actually 3. I only included 2, and they were slightly different than what Ralph proposed. You'll also see on my list a new administrative assistant. It's not truly a new position. He wants to take his part-time administrative assistant and make that a full-time position to cover those phone calls and things in the office. So really you're picking up a half of a person there, not truly a full person. Because his part-time line is going to 0, so you can see that change in his budget. But Ralph, if you want to go over what you're proposing for those 3 different than what I have,
Let's see.
so they have a better idea of.
Yeah. You mean what you gave me? Is that what you gave
Well,
me?
so that was Aaron's salary over time.
Yeah.
But if you want different than what I have in there right now, you need to let them
Yeah,
know what that is.
I was going to speak to that.
Okay.
So essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, but what Kristen has proposed essentially is the 4% COLA. And I don't see any other increases.
So there's an adjustment to both of the deputy public administrators. So one going to 32,000 and one going to 34.
Okay, so we're right here.
Yep. So this is their current salaries. This is the COLA.
Yes.
Those are the 2 adjustments that I
Okay.
proposed.
Let's see.
Yep.
Okay. I don't have that in my book.
It's not listed out in your book separately. It's included in the salary line.
So essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, you are proposing an additional increase for 2 of my 3 deputies.
Correct.
The chief deputy, you're not proposing any.
I am, and that's the blue sticky note we talked about earlier, that was how her salary has progressed
Yeah.
the last few years, so we've made some significant changes to it.
Correct.
So we
Yeah.
didn't change that one again this year.
Yeah, and so what Kristen is saying is, since I came on board, the chief deputy, well, actually, when I came on board, she was,
Just I don't even know what her title was,
I
but,
think she was a deputy.
Yeah, I think
Deputy 1 or 2.
yeah.
And so I came in and I requested you all to make her a chief deputy, which you did. And so that was a bump of what, 9,000?
Can you print that screen, Kristen?
This screen?
Yeah, I just want to put it with my notes.
I don't know that I have access to your printer.
You can have it, you have it on your drive now. It's under the F drive, under commission.
Budget 22.
Yes.
Kristen, do I have access to that?
Spreadsheet.
No, but I can email it to you,
Can
Ralph.
you do that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Auditor proposed salaries.
I'll make a note. It probably won't
Okay,
be till I
non-urgent.
leave. Okay,
Non-urgent.
yeah. Jimper, you got that written down.
It's under in general, go over to it,
I can't get to move, there we go.
and then go up to 124.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, in about 10 more years, I'll have this figured out.
It'll change.
Thank you.
But essentially, what I'm trying to show for the chief deputy is the criticality of her position to the office. She essentially, well, she's still training me, but she has institutional memory. She brings continuity to this office. She knows all of the rules and regulations. And I know that some attorneys in our community were expressing an interest in hiring her as a paralegal, and I certainly do not want that to happen. If I lose her, I truly feel it will set back what I'm trying to achieve for this office. And all I'm trying to do is put her at a little bit higher salary that says she makes a difference and that she has an opportunity to grow here. So that's the difference there, and I think it's going from what, 42 and change to 47?
Your
40.
proposal was 47?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when she making 40,
Well,
no,
with,
she was making 44.
no, she's
40.
going to 44 with the
Okay,
4%.
she was making almost 43, yeah. And also I checked around with other public administrators who have a similar caseload in the state of Missouri. And this has nothing to do with the assessed valuation, but it has a lot to do with the actual work of what a chief deputy does. And so based upon what I looked at, the proposal that I'm making for my chief deputy is in line with what other chief deputies make with a similar caseload in other counties throughout the state. And actually, based on the salary grid I had, she is still making, even at the new salary I'm proposing, she is still making almost $400 below the average for a chief deputy in Cole County. And that's probably because she's the least senior, and I get that. But also, I'm also proposing that I allow her to participate in some maybe off-site training or online training to increase her leadership ability and capability moving forward. Because essentially, when I came in the office and I started traveling, I put her in charge. I essentially made her an unofficial chief deputy to supervise the other ladies in the office, which she never done before and never had any training. So I have given her increased responsibilities in the last 16 months. So that is the reasoning behind the proposal for Erin.
Kristen, I know we changed some stuff around when Ralph came in, and I think we needed a chief deputy from the get-go, but it never happened. So when we moved her over, did we bring her to the very bottom of that pay grid to start her that we kind of use as guidance?
Yes,
And with nothing for her time served? She's been her for-
yeah, so can I have
17.
that sticky note, Ralph,
Okay.
so this is her progression in salary on the blue sticky note there.
But she's
So
moved
the 40,
positions
the
too,
42
was
was,
the bottom of the,
right, so that is the movement to chief deputy.
and then 21 and 22 were COLAs.
And I would agree with Kristen if you just look at the numbers. And if you look at the percentage of increase for her, it's obviously double digits. But you also have to consider what she does. Based on what I know other chief deputies do from talking with other public administrators with a similar caseload, she is part and parcel above and beyond what is required of those chief deputies in those counties. And maybe that's because it's my fault because I've delegated so much stuff to her. But she is also on call 24/7. The only difference is I keep the county cell phone and she doesn't. And I answer 95% of the calls. But she is also qualified to appear in probate court if I'm somewhere else for a probate hearing. She also goes out, she meets with clients, she meets with healthcare providers, she provides them information.
So what
she
are we
gives
looking at,
them
Ralph?
information.
Is she proposing the COLA raise or has she got something different?
He wants to go to 47.
Okay, I
47.
guess that's a part I missed, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Now, Ralph, your 47 number, is that in the 210, 380?
Correct.
It's already in there. So
yes.
right now, we're talking about a difference of $631 between the two of you?
Well, so there wasn't a COLA in his, so
Right.
there's difference there between his number and my number.
Well, but 4%, 104% of $631 or something like that? Or, no, I mean, right now, he didn't have, I'm sorry, he
Yes,
did
didn't
not have
include
it.
a COLA in his.
Okay.
His was just salary adjustment, so.
So there's probably $8,000 more on that
Yes.
210.
Yeah, so,
Got it, okay.
yeah, there's a,
Very good.
Yeah, so what I was proposing, I didn't know I was supposed to propose a COLA. I thought
Well,
we had to
that,
defer on that.
no, you didn't do anything,
no, nothing wrong,
Yeah,
Ralph.
so what I
Got it.
proposed is what I think she ought to be making. So help me understand one thing, Kristen. So going back to Harry's question, it looks like it's not that big of a difference, but like Kristen said, that doesn't account for the 4%.
got it. Right.
But since it doesn't account for the 4%, if I still propose 47, then the actual percentage of increase goes down.
Well, that's true. But if you have a firm number, this is what this person should be paid. And if you,
If it's with the 4% and whatever's left for the merit, to bring it up to 47.
okay, right, well, I was going to back into 40, let's say 47 is the magic number. That is the sweet spot for that individual.
Right.
The 4% takes her, just as an example, to 46.5
Yeah.
or whatever. You need $1,500 more
Correct.
in that case.
Yeah, whatever the difference
Whatever it
is, I would like
Yeah.
to get it up to 47.
It's almost like getting a raise, then taking 104% of the times that, and you hit 47. Okay, got it.
And I might point out, some of the chief deputies in these other counties that I explored with their public administrator, they actually have less time of service with their county than Aaron has with us. And they make a little bit more than 47.
So, Harry, up on the screen now, the 210 is made up of these four I highlighted. So Ralph's obviously is set by the salary commission, but 47, 35, and 33. The only two I did was one went to 34 and one went to 32. So
Okay,
that's the difference.
I got it.
Yeah. I might point out too, even if you look at my, what I call downstream deputies, I mean, I call Carrie a lead deputy, and I call Amy the newest, baseline deputy. But for what they are asked to do every day on the phone with clients, the types and nature of conversations they have to have, which can be very difficult and very emotionally draining. I mean, to pay them in the mid-30s, to me, is almost embarrassing. But I get it, I understand, as part of the salary.
So,
grant.
yeah, Ralph, I think that would be across the board for all departments.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
And so they're not really going to make a decision right now, they're just hearing your
No,
argument?
Yeah,
I understand
yeah.
that.
Okay.
No, I understand, it won't be made until January 7th or 10th. That's fine.
So,
Yeah.
Ralph, let's talk a little bit about the vehicle situation. So when Ralph proposed his budget, he included an increase in mileage, and that was using his personal vehicle. We have since then decided that we have given Ralph a county vehicle to use for some of the duties of his office. So I think there will be a change to his budget. We're going to take and leave maybe $500 in that mileage line in case Aaron or someone travels in his office.
Okay.
And then take the remaining amount of that and put money into insurance and vehicle equipment operation to pay for fuel for the vehicle and oil changes and things like that.
Okay.
So that is one change that we will make, but we will stick with that $6,000 number. We'll just divide it up into different lines.
Okay.
And I've talked to Kristen about that, what are the different line items I need as far as tracking expenses, like, I mean, mileage is a moot point, but what about insurance, maintenance?
Right, so you will get an insurance line, and then vehicle equipment operation is kind of the umbrella account for any oil change, fuel, any
Okay.
kind of things for the operation of the
Okay, are
vehicle.
there subsets of vehicle operation?
No.
Because that would help me track better,
Um,
budget better.
We don't in the smaller departments. In the larger ones, we do, but we don't in yours, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
Does Ralph fuel up at our central?
Works, and hopefully they are working on getting you,
I've already got a key
okay,
fob.
okay.
The only thing is, like, if I travel to St. Louis.
And run out of gas in St. Louis?
Which I'm gonna do Thursday, tomorrow. The range on this Explorer with full tank is only 230 miles.
So in that circumstance, Ralph, I would suggest using your P card.
No, I'll take my P card.
Yeah, yep, so you'll use it when you're out of town if you
But
need
how
to fill
how
out.
does that get reported on my budget month to month or whatever?
When she codes that P card, she'll code it into the right account, into the
Okay.
vehicle
Yep,
account.
so she'll put it in that vehicle account.
Okay, so that's transparent to me when I use it.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, just make sure you hold on to that receipt and you'll put it with your
Right.
P card statement every month. Yep.
and then as far as that Explorer goes, I talked to you all about the console.
Yep.
Because I'm very appreciative to get the vehicle from John, but there are some things that need to be done to it.
Understood.
Are you guys good with him doing that console?
Oh, God,
now?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
only 500.
$534 or something?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
yeah, so Ralph, I
I-
think go ahead and do that one and give the bill to Debbie.
And like I told you all, this is aftermarket, it's through Alan Braun Automotive, and he's going to install it, he located it.
Okay.
Ralph, we already said yes, you better
Yes.
run.
Yeah.
Ralph, did you have anything else you
Changing
wanted to
my mind.
talk about?
Let's see.
Hey, could I touch on one or two things that just, one pops out is the pauper funeral? And actually, one of the funeral directors in town caught me one evening and said, hey, this thing is really, it could get high. And I see you're providing, you might touch base on that.
And I'll tell you why. Here's a good example. I don't know, maybe 4 weeks ago, I get a call from Cap Region. They said, well, we have a body here. It's been here about 2 days. We know this person is not your client, but we've also been told that you handle all indigent funerals. We would like for you to handle this. So I said, okay, by state law, you have to hold on to the body for 10 days to give somebody time to claim it. I said, have you all started searching for a family member? He said, we've started, but we've come up with nobody. So I said, okay, I'll notify Freeman, but they will want to wait until that 10-day period is over, and they will take over from there. But there's no way I can budget for that because I cannot predict those types of situations.
So where was this person from? Was it one of our Cole County? It was,
They had a Cole County address,
okay,
but almost all of their relatives were in Iowa.
okay. I just want to make
So
sure
it-
we're only doing Cole County. We also got notice
I was
too
gonna
that
say, they're not
autopsies
gonna
are going up.
Sam, I think most of the time if they die here, whether they live here or they don't, and there's no relatives, I think it falls
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah, I think it's location.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound cruel or
Sound
hard-hearted if somebody calls.
Osage County?
I don't want to say, hey, it's not my client, sorry, but, you know, they've been told to come to the public administrator to take care of this.
You mentioned over 200. Is the term clients, is that the best way? Is it ward? Is it?
The statute says ward, but I
Ward.
think that's a little demeaning and disrespectful, and most of the public administrators call their wards clients.
Okay. So you have over 200 clients,
Yeah, it varies.
and it varies. And what percent of them are housed in Cole County? I guess where I'm going with this is I have this, you're the only public administrator I talk to on some kind of a regular basis. My sense is you have more out of county clients than other public
That's
administrators.
correct. So of my approximately 200 clients, maybe half reside in Cole County. It may not even be half. It may be about 48%. But there are several reasons for that. Number one, some of my clients don't need to be in Cole County because they are constantly harassed by family members who want to take advantage of them or do harm to them. Also, Cole County does not have the capacity for the type and level of health care that some of my clients require. It's specialized health care. For example, what is called a Lock 2 or a Level 2 lockdown facility. That essentially is a nursing home, but it's locked up so nobody can get out because there are elopement risks. And I'm not aware of any of those facilities in Cole County because I've checked. And that's why I have some clients in St. Louis, Kansas City, and until recently down near the Arkansas border. But I moved that person to Kansas City.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's a misnomer for my title to be Cole County Public Administrator when I work in 27 total counties.
27.
Okay, what else?
Here's another just factoid about, it costs, on average, $1,600 to take care of a ward for a year. Rough and dirty. If you take your total budget divided by 200, I mean, some of them cost you this much and some of them cost you that much. But if the public wanted to know what does it cost to take care of a person for a year on average in Cole County or scattered out,
Right.
in your case, that's the number.
Well, you can probably take my whole budget and divide it by 200.
Right.
Right,
That's what
we're
I'm
at the
doing.
16.
Now, it's offset somewhat by revenue, and that revenue is just a guess, is that?
Well, so
Pretty much.
Ralph, kind of give us an update. So, you can see that revenue line's kind of trending down a little bit in fees, but we're talking about kind of changing up the process because we've been
Correct.
waiting until the end of the year to bill a lot of those fees.
Yes.
And we're going to change that to where when we do annual settlements, we bill fees as we go so we can get a better handle, a little bit more of what that revenue looks like instead of waiting until the end of the year to see.
Yes. So when I took over, the practice was, at the end of the year, start collecting fees from those clients who you can to recoup some of your costs. And by the way, that's in the state probate statute. The public administrator is allowed to assess fees against clients who have financial resources for the time and effort my office puts in to manage their affairs. How do we do that? Every time I get a call from a client or a healthcare provider of one of my clients, I have my database open and I'm typing in notes, a summary of what that call was all about. And so when it comes time to assess fees on all of our clients, Erin will go into the database on every client, and she has a standard formula for X number of times we've spent on the phone doing things for each client. And that's multiplied by $35 an hour. And that's how we come up with the fees. Now, some clients, they literally have no money, and we can't assess fees. Others we can. So what Kristen is talking about, beginning next year in 2022, Erin and I have already talked about this. We have a plan to where we're going to start assessing fees every month so that we have a real-time total of where we're at.
I think your predecessor, weren't we down in the teens
Yeah,
on
so
what was collected? So
it
you,
has fluctuated quite a bit. Like actual activity in 2020 was only 30,000. This year so far, Ralph's at 51. We kind of adjusted down our estimate of revenue to that $50,000 mark. It may come in a little higher. We may be able to adjust it up a little bit. We did have years where we were at almost 100,000. That's probably the max we've been at. But that too depends on the wards and the money available in their bank account to provide those fees.
Yeah, well, what that depends on as well, statutorily, I can go back 3 years and collect fees, not just the calendar year. So I think what happened when Marilyn rung up 3-digit fee numbers, she was going back several years to recoup, which she did not recoup before. And so.
And I think she had some deceased clients that she was cleaning up their books and things
Correct.
as she was leaving and could go back that look back of more than 1 year to.
Yeah.
she was
but
doing auctions, and have you had to do any auctions?
I've done a few auctions, but the money generated went to pay off the debts of
Yeah.
the client.
Yeah,
Or went to
Yeah.
pay the nursing home. And here is also what we're getting into, and it's kind of a sensitive area, I guess. But more and more nursing homes are petitioning the probate judge to appoint me guardian of one of their residents whose family members are negligent in paying the room and board. I don't think that's right. I don't think county taxpayer money ought to be paying part of my salary to pay down the debt of a client whose relatives should be doing. I think the nursing home ought to go after them, not me, but that's very sensitive, so. It doesn't happen often, but I'm in a situation right now where I'm fed up with it, and I'm gonna petition the judge to terminate my guardianship because there's an available family member who is actually an attorney who screwed up his aunt's situation, but that shouldn't be dumped on the county to take care of.
Maybe,
Now the nursing home is upset because they don't think I'm moving fast enough. I just got this person less than 6 months ago, and I just got their first Social Security check a month ago. And the bureaucratic slowness of, because of COVID or whatever, to get people paid is a nightmare.
maybe at some
That's
point,
editorial. That's-
well, no, it's good to know because as we visit with our lobbyists about things, there might be and I don't know, maybe public administrators get together at their public administrators conferences and talk about these things. And do you ever think that, you know, a magic bullet is a statute that the fellows down the street could enact that would address those?
I don't think it can be solved at the local level. I think this happens in other counties, and like you said, the legislature needs to step in.
Very good.
Okay,
Anything else?
real quick. So the MAPPA convention, Debbie, you told me we already pay an annual fee.
We pay for that, but the conventions, you'll have to, if you want to go to the training, you pay for those separate.
Okay, so I budgeted 1,500. I don't even know if I'll need that. And the National Guardianship Association, MAPPA, has encouraged me multiple times to join it. I never have. It's about $360 a year. And what that provides is network opportunities, educational opportunities for me to improve my skill set. So that's why I budgeted for that. What else? We talked about mileage.
So on the screen, you can see I actually took that and split it. So I did $400 in insurance, left $600 in mileage, and then $5,000 in vehicle equipment operation. So I literally just took that $6,000 that was in mileage and split it apart into those three pieces. Are you good with that, Ralph?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get a copy of this in January.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
So any other questions on any line item?
Nope, not today, not for me.
Oh, and as far as fees go, as of yesterday, Aaron has already assessed and collected 56,000, I think.
Okay, so we'll look at that one a little closer to the end of the year, Ralph.
Yeah.
If we can adjust it up a little bit, we will.
Yeah, so that helps with the budget as well. That offsets some of the increases in other areas.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Ralph.
Okay,
Thanks, Ralph.
thank you all.
Are we going to Brian next?
We can, Brian's here.
Brian is here.
So page 50
Go,
is
sure.
his regular budget.
I don't know if they will look at my spreadsheet or not.
Here,
I can pull it up. I can pull it up, Brian.
Man,
Did you need to sit here and look?
did you use it all up? Well, is there?
Did you need to sit here?
No, no, no.
Okay. Sit by
It's
Kristen.
okay.
He wanted to see the documents he submitted. Which one do you want?
The spreadsheet.
Why won't it open that? It's not liking me. There it is.
There it is.
You want to start with maintenance costs? Okay.
So,
So let's
yeah,
So Brian has two parts to his budget. One, he has a department in general fund, which is his salaries and office expenses. Included in that is equipment, service contracts, which do encompass other departments' equipment service contracts. So that's why you see that fairly large number. Brian also has a piece in the sales tax budget, so we do have set aside in the sales tax budget computerization. So we'll talk about that one next, but Brian's gonna talk about equipment service contract.
okay, so pretty much you've seen a pretty significant rise in our recurring maintenance contracts, mostly due to our managed network services program, which goes through and pretty much is our front end to all of our network security. So we have Huber and Associates. They go through and they manage that program for us. They also provide the employee training for the managed network services and things like that. So all that is they do all the back end work, and then we do all the front end work as far as watching the dashboards and things like that. So anyway, when you go through and you start looking at some of our dashboards, if you look at our spam filter on email, for instance, you'll see that The spam filter catches about 19,000 some odd threats every 30 days. So those are like 19,000 threats that, had it not been in place, they would have went through. And so those can contain all kinds of different malicious code and stuff like that. So anyway, I try not to bore everybody with like all this technical jargon, but pretty much that's where you're seeing it. And that is, so we have that program in place countywide for all departments. So just to let you know, that's where all that. So I think it's yearly. I fill out basically a form that determines what the percentage of we pass along that cost to each department. So just to let you know about that. So that number has grown tremendously, but it's also doing quite a bit of work there. Other than the fact that, you know, I do pay the maintenance for the collector's office that comes out of my budget, the intrinsic core, all the server maintenance contracts, the backup software, which is the ARC server maintenance that backs up all the servers and things like that. There's the Jolt environmental software that comes out for the health department. And then we have a pretty significant cost when it comes to Office 365. Most of that is for the EMS department because they run on the government portal. So, and that's the, you know, the HIPAA compliant server and things like that. So, which I'm just getting a quote now for 10 more licenses and stuff like that. You know, basically my server support, it has to do with my hardware, and then all the different wireless access points, license renewals, and then some remediation software there for remotely remediating problems with computers and stuff like that.
Sorry, Brian, there's some at the top here too.
Yeah, and then, so the Cisco annual maintenance is pretty much all of our networking hardware, you might as well say, and then you see the next two are for the sheriff's fund, then BSNA comes out of my budget, but it's for, you know, the county. Elections software, and then antivirus. So Patagonia is for the health department, CIC is the recorder's office, things like that. So fire alarm. Pretty much that's everything you're paying. It all adds up to, you know, a pretty big amount. So, but there's nothing there that I can think of that's not needed. There might be one line item I'll be able to get rid of. But.
And we've progressed to having all the maintenance within his budget, but then if it comes to a specialized fund, they actually pay that cost, and the rest of anybody that else is in general fund comes out of his budget. Just so he has a hands-on, he knows what kind of software it takes to, hardware it takes to run all this software.
Right. So, and I'm pretty in touch with everything that goes on at all the different departments and things like that. I think over the past 5 years, I think everybody was kind of maybe doing they're close to their own thing, but we've kind of started bringing that back in. So the only thing we didn't really ever talk about, which I don't know if you want to go to this now or not, but we really need to look at what the cost is going to be to upgrade our access control system. And we probably need to do that for 2022. So, but other than that, I've got a salary increase in there for Brent. So, and then I've got basically some hardware requests. Now on that spreadsheet, if you want to pull it, I'm sorry, I'm moving too fast. Right?
That's okay. There's the salary increase, an adjustment for Brent.
Got an adjustment and Nicola?
Mhm.
Okay, we did an adjustment a couple years ago too, right?
Actually, I
Not
think
to
it was
Brent, you did to Brian a few years ago. Not to
Brent too.
Brent was the last year.
Yeah, Brent was.
Oh,
Okay.
Yep.
where do you want to go now, Brian?
Let's go back to my spreadsheet and go over to computer numbers. Just kind of give everybody an idea of what we're looking at and what we're managing. So you can tell 47 servers and 305 workstations. Those are just computers and servers. Those are not all the different networking devices and things like that. So Melissa helps quite a bit with that, but she is, you know, pretty focused on the GIS portion. So it's just Brent and I that are managing all of that. So we're trying to, you know, we probably don't do as well as if we had a department of 5 that was kind of monitoring everything. But you guys have been, and everybody's been really good about working with us on, you know, providing the things we can do where two people can do what we get done, so.
Do you teach people how to get on and off of Zoom, or do you have to turn them on all the time?
Well, there's a few select people that I like more of a customized experience, so I will do that, but anyway, that's what I do. So anyway, but.
Are we looking at a new address?
We are. So yesterday, Sam and I had a conversation with the .gov people, and they have approved our colecountymo.gov domain. So I have 2 emails that are in my inbox right now that are waiting to be responded to as far as to take that to the next step. So, yeah.
What does that do at the next step for us?
Well, so what the .gov does is that pushes our, since we are a government entity, that pushes over to like the government secure servers and things like that. And it just makes it more secure in a lot of ways. So, kind of, I was talking to Rich Bizard, and I kind of asked how, that was done way back when, because colecounty.org's been around for a long time. And of course, back then, you didn't have all these concerns. I mean, I'm talking years and years ago, as like what you have today. So the primary concern today is ransomware attacks. And that's where the bulk of the security features and the security education is being focused at. And so that's why on our PI Protect program, which is our training program, that's why it's so important that people go through that. I will tell you, I've done every training, every one of them. And there are things in there that I thought are a good experience. I think people in general should go through those, just because it's a 2-minute education, but it teaches you quite a bit when it comes to different scams and things like that. So anyway, so all those things, combined with what we do in our security envelope, they do a lot to help protect the county and things like that. Now, there's a lot more that can be done, and you'll probably be seeing that in the future. But right now, when we're coming into it and things like that, we're working with our insurance carrier as far as, what needs to be done there at a minimum to make sure we can maintain our cyber insurance and things like that. So, but anyway, overall, I mean, that's kind of like the high flyover of what we've got going on. So it's every day, it's all day long,
So,
every department.
if you guys look on page 120 in the sales tax, we do have that computerization line. I think with the new cycle of sales tax, it comes out to be about $180,000 a year if you divide it out over the 5 years. We obviously may have some years that are higher than others depending on what those projects are. And Brian does do kind of a list of, by department, what some of those requests are. His number obviously doesn't add up to the 180, but it's out there in case we do approach access control or a security option or even phone system we did out of there. So it is kind of open, and we do plan to continue to upgrade things as necessary.
Yeah. One thing my department's kind of taken into as well is the whole security envelope and all the DVR projects. So it's my inability to say no, probably, that there's a reason why we picked that up. But anyway, we have also really centralized that support and stuff like that. So, and I think that's important, that we have basically a solution. That way, we're not trying to maintain 5 different DVR systems or something like that out there. So,
And we like to work towards that consistency. So
yeah, across the board.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much more efficient. It really does. And that way, like I said, there's just a lot of benefits to that. So.
You guys have anything else for Brian?
Nope.
Brian, do you have anything else?
Just gotta work on cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity is ever present. So
Yeah.
get out there. The best defense in cybersecurity is employee education. Your number one threat comes from within, and that is what everybody needs to be aware of. So I got to tell you, we had, I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but we do quarterly, they're called phishing attacks. And that's where they target employees, like our training program, and it says, did they respond to this or not? I have to tell you, we have less than a 1% take on that, which is huge out of 300 and some people. So
Now, what was this 2-minute
The trainings? Yeah.
Can we send that out and have?
Are you not taking the training?
Yeah, so I can help.
I just got signed up, so.
I can help with that, absolutely.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so we've been doing that. It'll be a year in February.
Okay.
And people have been doing that since the end of February.
It has
so.
become very competitive in our department at the
I know,
moment to
right?
see who can get the highest score.
Yeah.
So
So I set the mark. So I'm at 799 out of 800. So come after me.
I think I'm at 711 or 709.
Yeah.
I'm 7-Eleven.
Are you?
Like a 375.
You got that just for signing up, Jeff.
I thought I
That's
got
right.
something for watching the video.
You may have got 40.
I turned it on when I came back, my score had not gone up, even after a video played.
So
I
anyway,
can't talk. Brian's helping me.
I'll help anybody. Like
No, I couldn't
I'll
even get
help
logged
anybody that
in,
needs
so
to be helped.
I think I went backwards.
I'll help anybody that needs to be helped.
So do I have to make another
It's a team.
password for that too?
Yeah.
Don't let Brian make your password.
So in one of the trainings, they make these application calls password managers.
Jeff71, hashtag pound pound.
Anyway, I do appreciate everything everybody does to help out. So
We appreciate everything you do.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, thank you all.
okay, all right, thank you.
Maintenance. They are on page 52.
Hey, Greg's finally up.
And the phone's blowing up.
Well, that's part of the job, dude. Oh, you meant yours.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
When I did this budget back in August, didn't realize on some things, the cost of plastic trash bags are going up, which come April when the renewal, they're holding the price for us right now on a lot of the products. But come April when the contract is due, we'll probably seeing anywhere from a 5 to 10% increase on pricing on supplies.
Did we just renew that contract?
Yes, we did. That's what I'm saying, come April, it'll be going up. Majority of the stuff is going up across the board, more than I realized. I printed out the wrong. Because I printed out the wrong sheet, sorry. Well, I printed off, that's right, off of this.
That's got it all.
One thing I've been talking with Sam, Harry, and Jeff about is, and of course, it was brought up by Judge Beadham, an employee for Across. Did put that in there. Since we've had a person go and changed persons around, the building is getting a lot cleaner, but I'm still continually running 2 employees at that building every day, which is putting me behind at other buildings. Same way with the jail. I know it's a little early to be talking about it, but he's leaving in next December already. The gentleman's been there 11 years since the jail opened. I would like to get that position filled as soon as possible so we can get some training on where everything is and stuff like that. Losing somebody and then trying to hire somebody to fill that position, trying to get them trained, cram as much knowledge into them before somebody leaves, it will be essential, especially over at the jail. And so far this year, I did a spreadsheet thanks to Chelsea. She showed me how to run it. So far this year, sick time and vacation time, with all my employees, including myself, we've used almost 1,500 hours of vacation and sick time already this year. That's almost a full-time person. Where would you like to start?
Do you have other changes you want to make?
Let's start with salaries. No notes I put in there was added a person. I put it at, I couldn't take as director's salary increase as well as employee set increase. So I just put it as 30,000, 10,000 for the employee, 20 for myself. I know that'll change. You all had a COLA in there for everybody, 11,000. Full-time employee at the annex for 31,250. And that's pretty well what I put in there.
Okay, 131, so. So you're saying her numbers do match, or you're wanting adjustments?
No, those I did not include. So all I did was the 4%, and then he does have one person that fell under that $15 an hour mark that we talked about yesterday. So that adjustment that's in there is for
That was that one. Then what were you talking about, the 10 and 20,000?
I just put them both together. My raise, with talking with Sam, he said to put me a bigger raise in there. So I did it, but I could try to get it to put my raise and then try to do another line item for additional raises for employees. I couldn't get it to take, so I just put it in as 30,000 and left it.
And I think too, you know, with COVID and everything else, and now we've got the new strain, and with the ARPA money, I would just hire
What new strain?
the new strain of
New
COVID.
strain? The
Strain
weaker one
of
that
COVID.
doesn't really do anything,
Well,
what the
it's-
first one's doing?
I would hire an employee who just maintains the courthouse and can actually come over and do the prosecuting attorney too, but
I think he's saying he needs 2 people to do that, though.
Well, I've got 2 people down.
So
Yeah,
that's where the problem is, trying to keep the courthouse going, and he's falling behind on other areas, so.
Correct me if I'm wrong, when Eric Landwehr was in here yesterday, and we set up we're moving the parks into general revenue, and it's got a bigger increase because we're putting the salaries over there. Did he mention that that person would do all the facilities, cutting grass and
no,
the
snow removal.
They were gonna do
So they're
stone.
gonna
Snow
do
removal.
snow removal in the
No, I
parking
think they
lots.
were gonna do, I thought they were gonna do the landscaping and stuff around there too.
That's what it said.
That's kinda the way I understood
I
it.
don't know that it was mowing. I think maybe possibly landscaping.
It said landscaping, so I
Landscape, they
assume
were
that's
gonna-
mowing.
That's part of landscaping.
Yeah.
So,
I think we need to figure out that piece of what that looks like, if that's something that's gonna, are you gonna follow that to parks and do that mowing, or are you following that to maintenance? What does that line look like, and
When I talked to Eric and Brian, they were gonna do all the tree trimming, doing the weed pulling and stuff like that. They did, and we were still gonna be doing the mowing.
That was my understanding
Yeah.
as well. Now, they would be doing the parking lot snow, right?
Parking lot snow, correct.
Okay. Well, we need to
we're-
clarify.
yeah, we need to get that clear picture of what duties are going to fall to them versus what duties are falling to your department, so we have a clear picture of what that looks like.
I mean, we still have all the sidewalks to do, so it's not, and also, now if he said he's got a dedicated person to do all the driveways and stuff, that's great, but if they don't, we're still doing most of the driveways and sidewalks uptown. So, I mean, if he's got that covered, we're fine.
My understanding was that person would have their route of
Yeah.
parking lots would be
Yeah,
their
so it'd be
route.
this lot, it'd be Carnegie, it'd
It'd be
be,
Pringer, it'd be EMS, it'd
yeah.
be Health Department. and
Over on
whatever other
Adams.
We have, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
would
then you'll
it-
concentrate on sidewalks.
Would it
steps,
free up
entryways.
more time if we did move mowing to the parks?
Absolutely.
I mean, if,
that's the way I
if you could do
understood
that
it.
with an additional part-time person and that frees up time for your people to focus more on this.
Frees up 5 to 6 hours a week during the summer.
For cutting grass,
Yeah. It's all
Okay.
tickets.
y'all are out there cutting grass a lot more than that.
8 to noon, usually one day a week.
One day a week, 8 to noon?
Yeah.
Oh,
You want to bet?
yeah.
You want to bet?
Okay, well, let's just,
I've been here at 7 in the morning when we got meetings and they're out there doing it,
Well,
so
we
that's
gotta
not
do-
8 to noon,
We
one
gotta
day a
do
week.
this one over here earlier because they don't want us mowing. while
That's
they-
not
Of
8 to
course.
noon.
All right, never mind. I'm not arguing today. I got better things to do.
Well, Greg, tell it the way it is. Is it or is it not? I'm making a point. You're saying 8 to 12, so I'm calling bullshit because I've seen them there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So now you're saying I'm wrong and you're just gonna quit
No, no,
arguing because
no,
I'm
Jeff,
wrong.
I'm not saying you're
No,
wrong.
y'all are cutting grass 7 till whenever.
7 to noon then, all right.
So,
children,
well, it's just, you can't just go, okay, well, I'm gonna quit arguing now. No, we're trying to get a grasp on this because we need to be able to let Eric know, how much time does it take if we're gonna put this incorporated into Public Works for them to do our lawn and landscaping?
but we need to talk to Eric and
Yes.
see if that's something he
was planning on other.
was planning
I
on
don't
doing,
think it
or
was
if it was a
included in the
miss.
original plan, but I did pose the question.
You're not gonna be able to
And it
do-
was another seasonal person, I think is what.
You
they
can't
would
do the
need.
annexes, sheriff's,
Like a seasonal part-time
Pringer,
person in the
health
summer
department in
when
no
the
4
mowing
hours.
is-
There's no way you can do it in 4 hours, Greg.
Well, you got more people doing it. It's not just the one person doing all of it.
My thing is just seeing at the courthouse where they wipe down the handrails.
But that's what you're saying,
You know,
8 to
they
12,
clean the
one day,
bathrooms.
4 hours. So
5
that's
or
what you're
6
gonna tell
people doing
Public
it.
Works, that's how much time it takes to cut the grass.
But you still
That's
have to know
not
how
true.
many people that is.
So the
5
statement he said was,
5
It's-
people
it's-
times
that's a whole
4
different
hours.
thing then.
It's not for man-hours.
No.
It's 4 hours on the clock. But you could have 20 people working 4 hours, that's 80 hours. But, I mean, that's an extreme example,
Well, I've
but
seen you down,
That's exactly my point. What Greg said is it's 8 to noon. and they're
you've
done
got
on
3
Monday.
people when you're cutting down on East McCarty by the jail, because I've seen 3 people. Here, you only need 1.
My only argument would be if you could bring in that part-timer and not have to pay benefits and it's only for those few months a year, it may be beneficial instead of adding a full-time position with benefits for the entire year. So the cost benefit of the different options, I think you guys need to look at to see which one would be the best.
You need to have
bang for
somebody
our
who
buck.
knows what they're doing though, because if you're gonna bring a part-timer in, they're gonna scald the grass and bald it or whatever they call it. They're gonna kill trees, they're gonna, you know, I just don't think it's a part-time thing. I think we need somebody that's focused on that and dedicated to that kind of stuff. Because people come up here, that's what they see as a face. I get texts about a tree is dead, and I know, Greg, you get tired of hearing the text coming from me, but I didn't see it. It's coming from other people that see this stuff, so people do watch it, and we just spent a ton of money on it, so we need to make sure we maintain it.
So I think we need to discuss that salary piece a little more and get more information. Greg, do you have something else you want to
Is
talk
there any other
about?
line items in there?
You got actual what we spent so far? or
This
that's-
column, 2021 activities should be actual.
We have had to transfer, but that's the nature of his game.
Well, most of the time, those are maintenance items that were
We don't know.
unexpected.
Majority of it, no, everything else looks fine.
Okay, we can go to capital, if you're ready. Which we really did
We kind
yesterday.
of talked about yesterday. Did you guys have
Except for
anything
his
else you?
equipment.
Yeah, he does have on page 119, a few equipment items that he's requested that we didn't talk about yesterday.
Are they listed?
At the top.
At the top.
Yeah, they're the first.
Scratch the pickup. Scratch the pusher for a Bobcat. Do need a couple floor machines, which I've had on there for a few years now. Which one's a buffer, a couple of them are buffers and a couple of them are burnishers. And also have on there those bathroom machines that I showed you guys that we were gonna try to do through Carol. I forwarded you the little sweepers for getting into the corners in the bathroom. So,
Is there a reason we haven't, I think those were on the list last year. Is there a reason we didn't do them this
We-
year? Just didn't have time or? Okay.
How long does it take to get them?
The floor machines for the bathrooms right now, we're looking at 12 weeks.
And are those listed on here?
Yes.
So that's one of the item, the BU 1500?
Yeah.
Okay,
They may have changed part numbers now, but yeah, that's on there.
okay. You guys got any other questions for Greg?
Nope, your witness.
So,
We'll let you know.
Oh, Greg, the favorite question all the time is trailer. Same answer?
same answer. I called him, said, when I called him last week on Monday, supposed to be in by Friday. Friday came and gone, called him yesterday on Monday,
10 and
supposed to be this
20,000.
week.
Christmas Eve.
Okay.
We're gonna put a bow on it.
Just says 10 and 20,
GBH has started,
just 30.
Okay.
the carpet, ceilings and all that out, 209. Finally got a hold of Scott, RJ Cool for the washer and dryer for over,
Is it 10 for
Sheriff's
him, 20
Department.
for them,
they're
or?
gonna bring those Monday so they can get hooked up next week. Doors ordered, supposed to be here April, last week of March, first week of April. Other than that, that's about all I have.
And remind me on the foam, on the insulation, what did you?
Oh, yeah, I got two guys coming today. One's Aaron Nider and Chad from Spray Foam.
Okay.
Those two I can get to come. So they're gonna hopefully get, one of them's supposed to be at
Mine's not
11,
gonna
the other's
take
supposed to be here at 2.
Mine's not gonna take very long.
I can get y'all numbers.
Yeah, that's fine.
Can we get how you wanted to break down the, because you had the $30,000 in adjustments, can we get how you had that broke down?
10,000 for the employees and 20 for me.
Okay, can I get that broke down? Do you want 2,000 for each one, 1,200 for each one, or how?
I was
So-
gonna do, yeah, basically it was gonna be 2,000 for 5 of them.
What's that? The 5 maintenance workers?
I see
Yeah.
8, 7.
There's 8
employees.
total.
Yeah, but one
Eight
just
was
gave a
correct.
substantial raise too, which,
You're a deputy maintenance worker.
yeah.
So you're not gonna give the
It
deputy
just-
maintenance worker one?
He's getting 4% COLA.
So are all the other ones. And then
Yes.
now you're gonna,
He just went from 30,
took on additional duties. I mean, that's the same thing. So if you're not gonna do it for everybody, I mean, what's the reason for giving it to the other ones to have, talk about compression all the time? There we go, we're making that worse there. I'm just throwing that out there. So it's 2,000 for everybody except for the deputy.
And the custodial worker. And the facilities director.
you don't have the new, Brad's gone.
This was as of when we submitted the budget. It'll get updated at the end of the year.
Yeah, so Brad won't, the new guy won't get one until he started. Correct, if that's the way,
Uh,
I mean, I don't know. I've been told that if they've only been here a couple of months, they didn't qualify for,
They do qualify for the COLA, and then were you proposing an additional amount for every maintenance work? I mean, it's kind of up to you what your
I was
proposal
doing
was.
the COLA and American, is what I was looking at.
Okay,
The ones that were here the majority of the time that weren't gone sick or all the time, that's who I was looking at giving raises to.
okay. You guys good?
Yep.
Hardest budget is next. Hardest one in the whole book.
0.
What page? What's
Thanks,
that?
Greg.
Page 25. So my salary line only includes the 4%, and there were no changes in any of my other lines from last year, so I don't have anything unless you guys have questions for me.
Just one overall, is everybody for the 4% included in the budget, or is it just new hires, or was there any cutoff point? I'm just asking her what was in there.
Yeah, so it's 4% across the board.
Didn't matter.
Well, so we always get in that trick of when I submit the budget, it's an open position and I took it out, but then they fill it before the end of the year, so they're eligible. So I just did it across the board, and if there's open ones, I don't,
Okay.
We
Well,
do,
it stays with the grid too.
yeah. I wanna say there was someone.
I didn't see any that were, that weren't included, but I couldn't see
Yeah,
the EMS.
I think I don't think I blocked it out for anyone.
Okay. Okay.
So how come the department request and the budget officer is different?
I think,
Somebody has a split personality.
You don't even have to answer it. It changed whenever you went from your request to the.
She went
to the
down,
next
so don't
meeting.
say
I went
anything.
down.
Yeah, so don't say anything.
So I think I had an adjustment in there for my chief deputy auditor, and I did not include it in my proposed. So if you would like to give her more money, she's worth every penny we pay.
She's awful quiet today, scaring me. Calm before the storm.
That's my contribution.
You stay down there then.
I just, no, I'm good. Don't worry.
I'm fine.
And Donnell has grand jury today, so she's not gonna be able to make it, so
Not at all.
not today. I put her in for tomorrow.
So tomorrow's when we're gonna be,
Tomorrow's gonna be,
We might have to call some of the people for tomorrow and pull them in today. Well, Locke and Sarah are gonna be the same way. I don't know about Wheeler, if he's ready or not. It would be.
I think Jeff wanted to be here, so I'd hate to do that too. You know? So, I mean, I guess you could listen to
Tomorrow's
it.
gonna be a long day though,
Yep.
by the
We
time.
can move that last one and do that one today.
Okay, do you wanna call Judy and see if she can come up?
Yep.
have Judy come up, can we do EMS today?
I don't know, do you wanna try to?
We could see
I
if
think
they
you're gonna
wanted
have to call Jeff Halderman if that's what you wanna do.
Be here.
Yeah.
EMS is freezing right now, I think, from the polar plunge.
Is that,
That's at 5 tonight.
it's tonight.
5
This
tonight.
evening.
Oh, I thought it was this morning.
No, it'll be,
And we do have some commission ones that we can go through.
yeah, let's do in-house.
Let's see if
whatever.
we can get Judy first and then we'll
Yeah.
tackle those.
Yeah, because otherwise tomorrow, Chris has to lay flat Estes on his back today, so we scheduled him for tomorrow.
Is he moving to the Joe spot?
No, Sheriff Wheeler moved to Ralph Job's spot. Those two switched prior to. Do you have an old schedule?
Did we have anything at 12:30 for the commission that we could go over that stuff?
Right,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
think let's get Judy done and then let's just start through commission stuff. We could even
Yep.
pick up health insurance fund because it really falls under commission as well.
Yeah,
So,
let's do as much as we can today.
and we could go back over some of the items from yesterday if you guys wanna decide if some of those you wanna do or just kind of recap what those asks were. I think the only person who had some real asks was Public Works. But we may just take the book from front to back and flip through.
She'll be right here.
Okay. She's on page 25. No, sorry.
No,
that
you're
was me.
25.
31.
30, 41. 41.
Nobody's brought anything today, have they? We could ask, I don't know if Steve's over there.
I was gonna say, we could do Steve today.
I don't think that's a hot topic one that he'd be interested.
I was gonna say, if we can knock out a couple of those smaller
Yeah,
ones to
yeah.
create more time for EMS and sheriff and assessor, prosecutor. Harry, do you know how to get into the budget to look around if you would like?
I need a little instruction on
We can
that.
go over that real quick. So, if you're in the general ledger module,
I don't have I've got an iPad instead of my
Yeah, just
laptop
watch
here.
up here and you can play later and ask me questions.
I can't see that.
Do you need my seat?
I'll go get, okay.
I get brownie points, I came early. That's right.
Yeah.
But Harry, it's just, I'm gonna just
Yeah, we haven't been
walk
worn
through
down yet.
tasks at the top. And then there's a create or edit budget, and once you're in there, you can pick the department you wanna look at. And then once you're in there, you can click on anything green and it'll hyperlink you to more information. So like I'm gonna pick Judy as the recorder and click OK, it'll pull up just her department. And like any of these green numbers, you can click on it, it'll give you the detail behind it. And if you double click on any of the lines that have an N on them, it will give you the note behind it. So we can play later, but that's just kind of a quick and dirty overview.
Hi.
Hi.
You go ahead.
Hey, Judy,
I tried not to bring in too much paper, I promise, because I just spent the last 20 minutes throwing some out.
Yes, this
It
is
ended up being
yesterday.
more than I wanted to
That's
give you.
yesterday.
But I also wanted to have
All right,
something
thank
for you
you.
to see, so you know what I'm talking about. My budget is in the auditor's book on page 41.
It's like we're in church. Today's reading is on page 41, Book of Job.
No, that's
Are you gonna
hymns.
sing there?
That's hymnals.
I'm not even allowed to sing in the shower, so you're safe there. Oh, the hymnals.
Yeah, it's him.
Do you wanna start with salaries, Judy?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pull it up on the screen as well. And just,
Oh, okay.
and right now, all I have included is the 4%, so I think Judy's gonna talk about changes to that.
I am. So if you remember, I think it was in June when I did a 10-year evaluation, which I didn't bring up that additional paperwork. And we had added a 5th deputy, and the county is paying all of her benefits. And I was asked to put it in my budget, the salary in my budget for going into next year. I did that. So that is my mission today, first and priority mission.
And I do have that included, so I included the 5th person that we added the current year. It is included, in the budget.
And for justification, I just wanted to show you on page 2 of the documents that I just gave you, it has our data entry book assignments. And if you look at that, we were already 10 years behind. We already had a lot of extra projects, and I did hire 2 people coming into it in 2019 just to help with projects. So the extra sheets I gave you is just showing the growth. Since I've been in the recorder's office for the past 22 years, we have continued to grow. We started a little bit in 2019, but during the pandemic in 20 and 21, I mean, we have reached over, or just about $200,000 revenues and growth. And also just to remind you that we earn our money piece by piece. It's not like somebody's writing us big checks. So that explanation is just to help you understand the work it takes to get that extra money. So I still only have the 2 part-timers back on projects. One of them is, but the other one, I just can't get her out of the workflow because she's so good. So I wanted to talk about the E1, which is the additional deputy to retain. If for some reason we can't, then we can talk about that in a closed session if we need to.
Yeah, so Judy, I don't know that we're gonna make any decisions on salary stuff today. So if
Okay.
you just wanna present your
Or just-
information,
Okay.
we will talk about salaries last. But,
Okay.
give them any information you want to help make that decision.
Well, I'm hoping the exhibit gives you enough information to show the need and the revenue increase. Prior to all of that, we had 5 deputies. That's before all of the extra projects, that's before the revenue increase. Up until 2000, I guess we just never got the 5th back after there was a changing of the guards. But we always had 5, and I can definitely provide more documentation to show the need if this isn't enough. And the only other salary increase I added was for E2. And I go very conservative. I kind of follow everybody else's salary. And all roads lead to the recorder's office, so everybody knows we are the chiefs. So if everybody gets a salary increase, ours should be so, and I will justify that it should be greater, but I don't want to make anybody mad. So E2, it's very minimal, and that's just to keep them all in line, and the extra duties that were taken upon that person when all these projects shifted, and we did have chief deputy turnover, so that kind of set us back a little bit because we had to do some training. And this person has taken on a lot of the technical aspects, which has been a great help.
So that's the only one you don't have in yours, Kristen, is the
The 500.
adjustment for the E2.
Yep, the $500, yes.
Yeah, well, you're still over what she was requesting, so.
Coming into it in 2019, I adjusted salaries, and I had to do that with just the money that I had. I was never given any additional salaries, but looking at it across the board, I felt it was a fair thing to do, and looking at the duties and responsibilities, I think the way the salaries sit today is fair as far as our office is concerned. If you look down at what each deputy is being paid for their duties and responsibilities, even though they're cross-trained, it was difficult to do that. I never want to take money away from anybody, but I'm not so sure I'm a fan of merit, because I think that throws it off in the whole county's budgeting across the board. I mean, I've seen it, and then it's like, I think I'm getting there, and then all of a sudden you get merit, and then you get a person or 5 people out of order. So that's just my opinion.
So if you're looking at the progression on the budget, it's a little skewed because that amended budget, we did not amend when we added the 5th person. It was kind of waiting to see where we ended up at the end of the year. So 252, 156 is her current budget number in 2021. That includes the 5. When we started the year in 2021, we only had 4.
Right.
And so we did not amend the budget. We were kind of waiting to see with open positions and things what that additional amount was going to be towards the end of the year.
And there was a few adjustments when the new chief deputy came in too.
That's right.
For the whole gang, so.
Didn't we add some duties to the positions and eliminated that position like 6 years ago? And that's why it was back down to 4, but we
No.
adjusted some
I think
salaries, or?
No, I think when
No.
Larry left, he had an open position that he was funding out of Recorder's Fund that he did not fill because he knew he was on his way out.
Right.
Ralph never added the 5th person back in.
Right.
Okay.
So
they
that's
took
how,
it
that's
back.
how we went back from 5 to 4.
Okay.
And honestly, the knowledge that the deputies in the recorder's office have to have, they have to keep current with that, and it changes. I would put it up against others, but I think,
We're gonna do that next week. We're gonna have everybody in the room, let y'all fight it out. We're just gonna eat popcorn and,
not me, no.
well, you got
I'll
5
fight it out
deputies.
in
You got 5
favor.
deputies, so you might have an upper hand on some of the smaller offices. But, I mean, we get that.
I know
It comes
everybody's
from all
gonna
the
tell you
offices
they're
and they're all,
great, and I think all
different in their
county
own
employees
ways.
are great, but I'm just talking about mine. And I'm
I would
talking
expect
about
you to
the
stand up for 'em.
knowledge and everything that I have. Right now, I'm really happy, I have a great staff. We've got a lot done in 3 years. I'm really happy with the whole office. The other thing I want to point out, just so you know I'm working with you, I use the recorder's fund. We bought a new server last year. We paid the warranty out of it. I use it for a lot of additional things, mostly on the tech side that is expensive, that I don't put in the budget because I was able to grow our website. And in doing that, our revenues just keep growing. So I feel like I'm helping you, you're helping me, so we kind of work together on that. I did not run a report, but I could to show you how much I've spent out of the recorder's fund. That actually could have been put in my budget, but I feel like we all work together, so that's my part.
Have we seen an increase in revenue?
In her department.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, okay, so then, doing all these books and stuff, how long is that gonna take to get all that completed?
About 10 years.
Okay. I thought you said something a while ago and I didn't remember if that was, I heard that. right.
No, it's,
You said something about 10 years a while ago. Cause I was looking at
not
if we.
only do we have to enter it, but I also verify the work. So just to keep up with 7 people who are doing
But
data
it
entry
doesn't do any
is,
good if it's
it's a
not
lot.
put in there, right?
And how many years back are you trying, what's the backlog you're trying to get caught up? I mean, it's,
Late 1969 to current.
yes, so she's going back quite a few years that.
Quite a few years.
She's trying to get caught up.
Every book has 1,000 documents. There are a couple books that don't because there was a cutoff. You know, they went from the old reels of film to microfilm to aperture cards to digital.
Well,
So
title companies can look this stuff up at their desk now instead of.
the
being
more
down
we
there
get
and tying up.
online, the
Yeah.
easier it is for them, but sometimes
researcher.
they still have to come in. We still get a lot of researchers and title companies in. It depends on if they have a corporate search, they have to go back 65 years, so they're gonna have to come in.
Yeah. So in 10 years, we can eliminate that position? is what you're saying?
No, well, I don't know. There's a lot of changes that are, I think, gonna happen in the next 10 years. So
I'll make a
we'll all
note in
be
here to check
robots.
that.
I'm not sure.
Is there anything else?
Anything else you want to talk about, Judy?
Any other line items?
No, I did want to mention, I know this was brought up a year ago, that the statutory county revenue fund, it is a refund that we get back. I kind of look at it like my taxes. The revenues have really dropped off. We used to get a return of $12,000 to $15,000. They changed that formula. This year, we received already $5,581. Last year, it was $3,000, so it is a decline in the revenues that come back, and it does go into the general revenue fund. But on the other flip side of that, that money comes out of the recorder's fund. $2 a document is paid into the state recorder's fund, and when they started having and running out of money, they changed the formula. So it did reduce the return, but it isn't anything that I would say you missed. It's just your tax return got shifted.
And what she's talking about is a one-time payment that we get in the recorder statutory pool. It's kind of like a refund of the fees we've paid in. It used to be a higher dollar amount, but like she said, that formula got changed, so it's reduced our dollar amount we get.
We have it the same still on both sides, is that what you
And on
said?
the other side too, as far as the money that we spend out of the
budgeted for last
recorder's
year
fund,
because
there
it
are
dropped so
6
low.
county offices that have access
So the year
to our
before.
office. I pay the license for that. I pay the fees
One
for
used
that.
to
They're
be
not
42.
charged anything.
We've dropped it
So
back.
again, I try to work
Still the
with
same.
everybody.
Yeah, it was.
So how much is that,
Than
roughly?
it was on the expense.
Oh, gosh, Rich
Used
just
to.
had to check the licenses for me this last time, because I think we're at, once we gave Mr. Otto access, I think I'm at my limit. Now I'd have to spend, and he didn't remember how much, and nor did I, a couple $1,000s to buy a few more licenses. But as far as the fee per month, it's $250 each access is what revenues is, that's what we would get. So that's just something we try to provide the county, people who need it. Our information is our bank account. That's how I look at it. That's money to us, it's money to the county. So I don't like to let it out freely without a charge.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that, but if we're gonna charge ourselves for it,
Which
I
we
charge
don't.
Harry.
well, that's different.
Yeah,
We don't charge any of the county people.
okay.
Did you?
Did you have any questions?
No, the assessor. You did for
Nope.
this one. Do you want me to just send it to him?
I thought it was on the email.
Congratulations
Did
on
you?
your,
Award, yeah,
Award.
we need to present that, formally present that to you.
I was
Maybe I missed that.
pleasantly
Yeah.
surprised. That
Yeah.
was nice.
Oh, you do have 845.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shows how
He
hard
was
we're
on the
working.
email.
Okay.
You said you responded to that?
No, he responded to the one before. Thursday works great.
We're good.
I think so, yeah. Run.
Run, yeah.
And Steve has volunteered to come in today, if that's okay with you guys.
Sure.
So Steve is
So
on
then,
page 30.
what'd y'all say about Donnell?
She said she couldn't come today, so we're moving her to tomorrow.
She's not coming at all today.
Yeah.
And then we'll have, Steve will knock his out, we'll do our commission and do the,
Health insurance.
health insurance.
Yep,
So that knocks off,
yep. So circuit clerk and assessor will move to tomorrow, and Steve and health insurance will move to today.
Good.
okay. We get a chance to talk to the sheriff today, that might not take as long. We could-
I think they want, I
Ask
think
him
Jeff
questions.
Haldeman wants to be here for sure.
No, I mean, talking to him beforehand.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
So
we'll
I may
talk.
have fewer
30
questions in tomorrow.
33, Debbie. Page
33.
33.
Morning.
Thank you for coming today. Okay.
Said that too soon, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right. Everybody got it up and can see it, I guess, or?
I think so.
The only thing I kind of wish we would put some money in equipment repairs. We used to have that line, all of our voting equipment's out of warranty. And then, of course, we have that paper folder stuffer machine that gets used a lot by everybody in the county. And so far, we haven't been able to get a maintenance agreement on it. And it doesn't make me any difference if we have one on it or not, but I think we ought to have some money in there in case it goes down.
Do you have a dollar amount you're thinking?
I would probably put in $800 or $1,000 in the line.
What page are we on?
33.
Thank you.
I think we used to put in $1,000 and just use it if we had something break down. We do have one of our voting machines did get tossed around the truck, broke the screen. Nobody knows where it's at this time. They give us a replacement for now, but they're still looking for it. We turned it in to get it fixed, it never come back, but they were gonna charge us for it, so whatever that charge was gonna be, we have to have money to pay. Same way with the folder stuffer if it was to break.
Steve, something else is, do you have any documentation on grant funding for next year?
And did you get it?
I didn't.
Oh,
So it's not in there right now, but
okay.
if you'll send me that, we'll get it included as well.
I thought they sent it, but the last time I talked to Chrissy Peters, she said that it would be about the same amount we got last year, and that's all I remember about it, but I was thinking they sent it, so.
Yeah, no, if you have documents, let me know. I'll get it included.
Okay.
That's the HAVA grant in the revenue side, and that goes into his HAVA expense in the expense side. So normally the state, it's been around $12,000 the last few years to help with elections.
Other than that, I don't know if there was anything else.
How many elections are you planning on next year?
3 for sure.
3 for sure.
Yeah, we got the August, November, and then we'll have the April.
So I think I have those listed out in there. April, August, November.
So I'm not sure, like, the copier is just minimal, but I'm not sure there's enough money if we're gonna be running all those copies for those elections, but the folder stuffer, equipment repairs.
So this 2,096 for the folder stuffer is not in there right now. That's one he's asking for.
So that's the maintenance agreement if we decide to do that, if we're just gonna pay for each repair when it breaks. Larry's getting ready to use it. He uses it in March, I think, or February to send all his tax.
Delinquent.
What did that thing cost us?
How much was the machine? 20 grand.
I thought it was powered by Schulte Donuts.
Yes. A lot of things are around here. But I know Larry, he has just, his is all at one time. Like, he was in our office for 2 days running his delinquents. And it stuffs everything, the little card and all of it. So it's really awesome for him. But I have to put up with Larry for 2 days. So. But it saves a lot of time to use it.
When did we get that? A year ago? 2 years ago?
It was in 2020, because
Well,
we
that's
had
a
used
grant.
some funding, that we received for CARES.
I don't know. I hate the maintenance plans. That one seems pretty high. I don't
How
know
much, again?
It's $2,000 a year. you know, if we had money in for repairs. This last time they came, I think they charged us for the
Just-
postage machine. We thought it was for that, but it wasn't, so we really,
Is that just like a yearly, do they come in and do some kind of yearly maintenance too then?
they can, I
No.
guess, if we call them. There is some minor adjustments and stuff on it. I mean, it's pretty.
Well, I mean, if that's included in that price, I think it makes a little difference too, because then it's, you know, kind of catches stuff that could be going wrong, or they hear something that doesn't sound right. But otherwise, I'd just throw 2,000 and hold it back and for repairs. I don't know. It just seemed
We've
steep
kind of
for-
been on both sides of equipment repairs. You know, you
Oh,
put it
yeah.
in there and you have multiple years, you've put it in there and you don't ever spend it because we haven't had any problems. And then, of course, the year you take it out is the year where you have to pay it out. So it's kind of that fine line of, is that something we just have a movement from contingency if we have an issue? And otherwise, we plan on things not going wrong, or do you plan the other way?
There's no easy answer.
Well, budgets are made to be adjusted on occasion, but,
Right.
you know, if you have a string of years that you have a number and you've never burned it up, the conservative part of me says you should just double it the next year and triple it, you know, you just keep building another. And then when it does break, you got the budget there to buy the new one. It's sort of just like pre-funding the depreciation.
It becomes a little dangerous with the being able to transfer from one line item to another. And that was getting abused years ago.
But I'm like Jeff, if, I don't wanna pay 2,000 if they don't come in and service it or check it, or, I mean.
Well, just because it's in the budget doesn't mean you're gonna spend it. I mean, somebody still has to show up and,
Right.
Send you a
She's
bill,
saying that in the past, they've taken that number and
Oh, and-
transferred
and-
it to other places to
Okay,
pay for
I hear
other
you.
things. So in contingency, there's a little more control over it sitting there and
Okay.
not being used for other
Right.
things.
So the garage doors is what comes to mind. I think we probably could have got a little more time out of those if they were properly maintained, and, you know, it's,
Steve, can you check and see if that maintenance agreement includes some kind of annual check
Yeah.
and maybe, you know.
Checking adjustments?
Right,
Maybe
right.
separating
And-
the car in.
Yeah, and let us
Yeah.
know, and if it does, maybe it's worth the time to
It's the
make-
same guy that does the postage machine. So when he comes, like, he could do either one.
yeah, so just let us know what that maintenance agreement would include. If it's just, if it breaks or if it includes some kind of annual,
If we can mitigate some kind of breakdowns and stuff, and
I think that's a great idea.
that's why you
Put it
change
in
the
there.
oil in your car for the same reason, you know, and
Right.
if they can come in here and change the oil in the machine for us, and,
Sure,
you know,
maintenance.
I'd be interested in looking at that. I don't know about the 2,000, like Harry said, you just keep it in contingency and let it build up to replace it when the time comes, so.
I think that's a great idea to put that in there, and that way at least you have, if it does break down, you have it in the budget to fix it. If you don't use it, you don't use it. So it is a new machine. So,
are you all locked in on your locations for the 3 elections next year? And does the redrafting of the boundaries by the city
change it.
give you heartburn or headaches?
yes.
Yes and yes?
Supposedly.
Because
we
now
haven't
we're
gotten-
dumping people into some precincts that are too small, so we have to redo our precincts.
Oh.
So, and St. Joe's going under a major remodel, so I'm not sure we're gonna be able to use that facility.
Yes.
So we're trying to redo the whole 3-1 out there, which means we have to send out new voter ID cards. Trying to get them out before the April election, well, I don't know if the redistricting is gonna be drawn by then, if you guys are gonna draw your lines by then. So I'm not sure what we're doing on voter canvas. I mean, she's got 13 grand in there, but it's almost like we're gonna have to send cards out multiple times.
So we're required every other year, is it every other year, to
Every 2
send out,
years.
yeah, send out new voter ID cards, so it's called the postal canvas. But in this circumstance, depending on the timing, it may include sending cards more than once.
So we're sending, like, the city redistrict, they changed about 900 people. So we're gonna have to update those, and then we'll get our precinct lines drawn, and we'll have to send out cards to everybody that changed, and let them know where they vote at in April. So we're trying to hold off, we're getting all that done, but we're trying to hold off until at least the state maybe gets theirs done. If we could send them all out. in
Well, okay,
January, February.
right. So the House district has got you
Right.
Kinda
That's
on-
gonna change too. so some
Yeah.
other people might change, so.
Right.
And then, yeah, it's just getting real complicated, so. We actually run low on.
You gonna spill yours under that?
So- I'm sorry, what were you saying?
So in the postal canvas in this bid, you know, you show where we buy all our postal card, all our cards for 2 years. Well, with the legislator coming in wanting to change voter ID laws,
See, Harry's smart, he doesn't
we
bring.
don't want to buy our cards that many in advance because the back of it changes, well, then it's out of date.
Right.
So, I don't know what we're gonna do, I really don't. It's really
There's
complicated.
a lot of moving parts this year.
There is, and it's really.
Melissa has put a couple of maps in front of me. I don't know if she's put them in front of Jeff yet or with respect to east-west. There's a little bit of modification
Oh, there is.
coming there because the west has picked up a few more people as it sits, so we're gonna have to carve off a little bit of the west and call it east going forward, I think. So that's,
Curious where it was gonna land this year.
I mean, it's nice if you stay within the lines that are already drawn. I know
Well,
sometimes you can't do that, but it's easy. Otherwise, you're gonna have, at a precinct, you could have 2 different ballots. You could have the Eastern District Commissioner and the Western District Commissioner. So we try to limit our ballots.
right, I mean, they all have to kind of fit like this instead of
Right.
like
Right.
this.
Right.
Yeah, because some of the west is technically in the east, which is,
Right.
it's very confusing for the public, for the people. to-
Well, you can't fix that though. The population is where it's at.
Well, right, but where
So-
you divide it, you can change that.
Yeah, but it either gets more confusing inside the city limits or, I mean, we kind of did it down around Russellville.
Right.
So Russellville Incorporated is all western, but then east or southeast of Route C was kind of a dividing line. I thought it worked out pretty good. It is still confusing, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what's more confusing than being in the same,
Being in the same town and you're in 2 different districts.
in Jeff City, we had 2 split precincts that had 2 different district commissioners, and 13 years ago, you saw what happens.
Right,
Right, it does
So,
happen.
right.
It can happen.
But I think we can,
Well, Melissa was trying to operate under this theory. Half of Jefferson City residents, city limit residents, are east and half are west. And then half of the residents outside of Jefferson City are either east or west. So she's not just taking the total, let's say 77,000 total and make it 50-50. She was trying to also keep the city of Jefferson and everything outside the city of Jefferson 50-50. And she's thrown a couple of options at me, and I haven't had time to look them back yet. But they're not big, but there's a little bit of, Jeff is creeping a little west in the city in order to keep it 50-50, almost down. But there is a margin that's acceptable by
Right.
the courts and by statute and everything else. Yeah.
You guys go by population, we go by voters, so there's a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
You get your lines drawn, well, not everybody is registered to vote.
That's true.
So you're doing population and we're doing actual voters in there that we have, so it's a big difference in them.
I'm not suggesting this at all, but Jeff's got about 3,000 people in his district that that are not getting counted because they're staying at the I don't know if you call it the Parsons Hilton or
the community club out there?
yes, the Jefferson City Community Club and Algoa, which is a different.
We can set up poll.
No,
up
they can't, they
polls.
can't vote by law, so you have to change the law first.
Okay, never
It'd be a
mind.
slow day for your poll workers.
Oh.
How come nobody's come in to vote yet?
Yeah.
Well, it's,
So-
yeah, I tell you what, it's nice, where I vote, I almost see the same folks every time, they're very friendly, you've got quite a corral of folks that do a good job.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I do want to mention, because we're kind of in agreement with the county clerk's office on the postage machine that's out here, and as you know, as soon as those equipment gets older, they started dinging you on maintenance and started dinging you, we do pay the annual maintenance, That machine, I think, is a 2015 model, and they're already approaching me constantly with, through Pitney Bowes, about upgrading the machine. So keep that in mind. That's going to be a fairly, if I remember right, that was $8,000 to $10,000 or $12,000.
Wow, I think Larry bought it. Did you put this on?
Did he
So
buy
that
it last
is
time?
something that could gonna come out of capital improvement sales tax as well. So maybe a note on your list there that,
I think Larry paid for it last time, but I wonder what it would cost just to have a mailing service do all our mail.
And we can look into that at that point too.
Yeah,
maybe
It
that's something to
becomes-
have Jessica start looking at.
because when they run it wrong and we have to go back and try to claim it all, it's just a big pain to try to get the money refunded back to the post office.
We're down to the one company that comes and picks it up, and that, I don't think they offer that, but I'll ask them.
You know, by the time you pay your maintenance and all your, everything on that machine and the cost of it, I wonder what, you know, even if they did charge you just a little bit, I wonder what the difference would be.
Yeah, and it's, everybody is doing different kinds of mail, first class, pre-sort, you know, you'd have to label all that, I don't know. But we can sure look into that.
And that's where it gets messed up, because if you don't run it right, then you're paying way too much.
Yeah. And we pay an absorbent amount of postage costs besides the machine, so,
We're lucky that's not budgeted,
yeah,
because that is huge.
yeah. It's not in your budget, but we kind of, it's in 127, so.
Because, I mean, if we're gonna send out $3,000 or $4,000, 3,000 or 4,000 voter ID cards or 50 cents a card, that's $1,500. Just not gonna do it, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Are you guys good with taking 5 minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
Bathroom?
Absolutely, yeah, it's a good time. That's why Harry doesn't bring his drinks in with him. You can see him squirming over there near.
Yeah. Oh, it feels good to stand up. Whew.
Sure. Doodling. Are you doodling?
Am I what?
Doodling?
No, Liz is texting me and then other people got a couple texts and sharing emails. I'm doing stuff over here. Okay.
You okay with that? Oh, no, you didn't ask.
I'm asking.
I think it's reasonable. You said I was quiet. Please do not take that seriously. Okay, I think, yeah, no.
I think,
I know, he even said that.
yeah,
So,
just saying, you know.
So we got commission and health insurance now,
Yeah,
so that'd be a pretty quick one, and
These are replacing the ones from right?
I'll go visit with the sheriff about that.
Yeah.
oh, except for that top one.
Yep.
Trying to get over the hot seat or something.
Did you see this?
So I had to text Eric because I wanted a little clarification on the groundskeeping part.
Uh-huh.
So they're proposing to do landscaping only at county facilities. So they,
It's confusing.
Yeah.
So landscaping, I think he means tree trimming and weed pulling, not
Not mowing.
mowing did not, yeah, mowing was not included, so, I mean,
I mean, I did kind of throw it out there to him. Like I said, if he's gonna have one seasonal part-time helping with parks mowing, what would it take to include that mowing as well? I just feel like maintenance has grown quite a bit in number of employees and we'll keep growing. Is it time to break off some of those extra duties and make it truly maintenance and cleaning? Or,
I was leaning that way. That's why I was trying to get a grasp on the grass cutting.
and I think we've talked too in the past about cleaning services or something to,
Well, we
change
talked about
around
grass
the-
cutters too. I mean, we
Right.
talked about hiring out to mowing.
so, I mean,
We've
that.
even bid some of it, but
That department and adding additional full-time employees almost every year the last few years is getting to be an extensive amount of money. Is there something we could do, even if it costs us the same amount, but to shift some of that to other areas to give those guys more time to handle? I don't know. I don't.
I think part of the backstory on the park side was there's enough already on the plate of that person who's going to be doing the mowing for the parks. And so to add other, or you have to add more people.
Right, so yes, that was the discussion with Eric, is that right now it's a full-time position and a seasonal position. He said if they did county facilities as well, it would be an additional seasonal person.
for half a week. Because it only takes 20 hours to cut the grass, is
So-
what we were told this morning.
Well, so
Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't know that end of it, but
Well, I don't agree with that end of it. I think we could keep one person pretty much busy all summer, bouncing around and doing that kind of
That
stuff,
may
and
be-
maybe even help.
I was just thinking
in
with the special
parks.
needs at the courthouse, having somebody who,
And it all comes down to custodial work versus maintenance work. I think we're lacking in the custodial part of it. And I think our buildings would say that. And that's, to me, that's just cleaning. That's no maintenance.
that's what I was thinking, using ARPA money for the said employee to take care of the courthouse.
so my feelings on that is if you're going to use ARPA funding that's temporary, you use some kind of cleaning service, that would be a temporary contract. I don't think you add a full-time position that you're eventually gonna have to say, well, the
Goodbye.
funding went away, now I can't pay for you.
I would agree with that, because you're gonna have to eliminate that position when that funding
Right.
runs out, and I don't think that's really,
Well, if he's got one retiring at the end of next year, that one can actually just move into it then. But I just,
I think that's a budget we're gonna have to do some
Yeah.
more talking about and see where everybody's at with what direction you see it going.
I didn't even really get, I guess we got it down to 2,000 per person, except for a couple of them. So I just wish we had that in writing in front of us, like all the others presented, so, and it wouldn't take but a second to do that.
So, yes, I have some departments that do not submit that salary plan, and I really wish that they would. It helps me to see what they're trying to do, and the justification helps me try to find the money to put it in there.
Right.
Well, we can talk about your all's budget, which is 122. That's basically your employees here. Tracy will be leading this budget and then going to the 167, which is,
Page 37, guys.
sorry, page 37. Yeah. So Tracy will be going fully to the EMS department. I have talked to Nick about, probably what she does for us is about 1 month a year with scanning. So that will continue. I want to also fight for your employees here, our employees here.
Give me the page number again,
Oh,
please.
sorry, 37. As everybody has said, and I watch people fight for their people, so our people are no different. They're here, they've been here through the COVID, they've been here through many things, and though the 4% is very generous, it's better than we've had in a lot of years as far as COLA goes. But if there's adjustments to be made and money to do that, I think our employees are just as valuable as other departments' employees.
I agree.
I would continue to fight for that for our people too. And as far as all the other department heads, you guys are in charge of that. So if you would like to take this year to evaluate those top positions before we get to budget, look at those, see if there's any that need to be aligned or adjusted. It'd be nice that you guys fight for them too, as far as the department heads go.
And I would like to request that that be something that's done a little bit earlier in the
Yes.
process. So like when your budget's submitted the 1st of September, if you guys could kind of give me an idea if you're looking to adjust those director salaries. I have quite a few that, you know, don't feel that it's their place to ask for themselves.
Right.
And I would like to include that if that's something you guys are thinking about. So if I could get that when I get other department requests, that would be nice to
So
try
maybe we
to-
need to do evaluations and stuff in October instead of the end of the year.
Probably more like
July.
August or.
Okay.
Are we talking about the future here now, or are we talking about still?
So we didn't get anything this year. Obviously, you guys can still talk about that when you talk about salaries. We
How,
can.
could you furnish this? Could you, using the title Department Director, a schedule that shows current,
Yep.
and maybe look back a year or two at the,
Yep, we can do that.
and then throw in a percent at the top, which is the COLA that's built in already. And sometimes that's the only difference, I guess, between year 1, year 2, year 3, right?
Yeah,
So we've had some adjustments because we've hired some new directors, so I think it would be good to see that. And then if, you know, some of them have not had an adjustment because they've been here for 30 years, we do need to look at that.
and I
So,
think you have one with health department at the
That'd be a
moment
good
that
chart
we
to have.
adjusted during the year this year. Is that a permanent change? Was that a temporary change? I think that's something you guys need to decide as well. It could factor in if you're talking about doing some sort of premium pay as well, because there's a limit on the number you can go above. So if you've already given her a somewhat called premium pay, you're limited in what you can give her additionally, so you need to
Did we,
think about that.
did we pay for it with federal money?
It was mentioned on the pay form that that's what we were using.
There's a $26,000 annual, is that the number?
I don't have that number in
It's,
front of me.
But if we max out
Oh,
on
the
it.
max.
The max
No,
you-
per person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
$13 an
$13
hour
times
above.
about 2,000
Right.
hours.
So it comes out to about $25,000
Yeah,
per
it's a
person.
little under 26.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I would just like to do that. You guys will get that spreadsheet to you.
Yes,
the
please.
department
Okay.
heads look
Yeah.
at- And that would be, and again,
Can you do that for our employees too, your
Sure.
employees? Because we've made some adjustments. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before and stuff. And
right,
just to be fair with all the other
right.
departments, elected officials and such, when we tell them no, I gotta be able to tell us no or yes and justify it, so.
And that's great, I'll give you that, but keep in mind, there's other departments that have got adjustments too. And then that, you know, if you want all of that information.
Yeah, so I try to bring up the history of it because there have been some that others haven't gotten and, you know, we're able to do it.
My initial request is for all department heads.
Sure.
And then within the commission payroll, all of the folks in the commission
I can do
payroll.
that.
How's
I can
that?
do our
Yeah,
department,
yeah,
or we
yeah.
can do both, it doesn't matter. Okay, and the only other thing in there is you'll see that meetings and travel went up quite a bit. I was balancing you guys between 122 and 127 when you went on trips to, for the whole county's benefit, which I considered versus your annual training. I was taking that out of 127. But we're gonna put that all back into 122. And now I also do have Sheila in there.
and Jill. So we've kind of consolidated all of the people that are in your department. Their meetings and travel will now be in 122, not kind of split between the two and shuffled around. It's consolidated into that meetings, travels, and dues in 122.
Do you want to take their professional services out of 127 and put that into 122 too?
I think I did. I think I pulled,
Did you?
and actually, I think I've listed out here
In that 6,000?
in that $6,000 number.
And
So
where
I
do-
have like Jill's enrollment fees with the Supreme Court. I have her continuing education. I have the HR continuing education, and Sheila's professional memberships that she is involved in, and then your guys' training.
So we still have the 2,000 in meeting travels and dues under 127, if I'm looking at the right place. But-
So I have moved this year's as well, so we kind of moved everything that we paid this year and moved it into there this year. So that's why the amended budget versus the activity for 2021 is different.
Okay.
So we're trying to get that way this year and then move forward with it continuing to be that way. Just so there's not some of it coming from professional services and some of it coming from miscellaneous and some of it coming from 127 meetings, travels and dues, and some of it coming from 122. It's just nice to have it all in one place and we can track that progression.
Where does 127 hit this book? What page does that get on?
It is on page 46 and 47. So 127 is general accounts.
Got it.
So kind of some of the things that cross multiple departments or are for the county as a whole. So like auditing services, our economic development, extension, animal shelter, things that are county-wide things.
Now, we can go to that next because it's, I mean, ours is
Yes, we
just
want to go
that.
there.
Yep. And that's also where you see taxes. So the
So we're jumped over to
miscellaneous-
page 46 now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Go ahead
very
and
good.
Go to 46.
Yeah, so that's kind of the taxes that are not tied, like you see property taxes in the collector. You see the assessor's property taxes in the assessor. These are the taxes that are kind of county-wide taxes that don't necessarily fall in those individual departments. Financial institution tax, stock insurance, and our local use tax.
Those first two are just wild guesses, right?
Yes.
Because we don't know what's
Yes.
coming from
We
stock
try, but,
insurance.
They
Don't rhyme or
fluctuate
reason.
quite a bit from year to year.
Okay.
I usually get burned when I jump stock insurance because it'll go the other way, and then when I drop it back down, it seems to go back up. So that one is I try to stay somewhere in between the previous year and the current year's activity. So that's why the 1.2. So 2020 activity was right at 1 million. 2021 was almost 1.6. So I try to stay somewhere in the middle. So if that swing goes one way or the other, I'm somewhere in the middle and I don't have to make up 600,000 or whatever. So,
Why do we have health insurance here rather than,
Retirees, you'll
I'm
see it
sorry,
on the
okay.
expense side too, so we pay it out and they reimburse us, so.
it's for retirees, not for
Yeah.
the departments? That
Yes.
is, I mean, okay,
Yes.
good.
And there are, even workers' comp is kind of that way. We pay for it out of here. I get reimbursed. I bill the different departments. It comes back in.
Okay, I see.
It's not exactly a wash, but
that
because
one's, there's a little bit of a time lag. So
Yes.
we're using the previous year's audit to determine what your current year amount is. So
that we bill.
it's slightly different.
And then the transfer from, and the admin fees from the different funds come in there.
And you'll see costs like office supplies and postage, so we have a main account that we buy everyone's, and then we bill back the departments that we can for those.
For the, what comes out, in and out of here, into our storage here. And miscellaneous, gotta give me some miscellaneous. No budget.
What?
Do you want to touch on
That's
economic
right. I
development
was
for
gonna
a
say,
second?
no, I didn't give you miscellaneous revenue, I gave you miscellaneous expense.
Okay, that's good.
The,
Other questions on the revenue part of that?
not on the revenue side.
Okay.
Nothing with taxes that you guys see, like I said, it's kind of a guess. I do feel a little bit better about local use tax. We could possibly increase that a little bit, after the discussion at the MAC meeting, that those businesses, it's never been clear to me why we're seeing that increase, and sometimes the increase is, coincides with construction, so like when you're building that new Walmart, that cost was going up. If you're building that Sam's Club, we saw that increase. It makes me feel a little better that now the Amazons and the things like that that are voluntarily reporting that tax is coming through there. It makes me feel a little better that that number should go
I think this 2,000,003 is too low.
too low.
I do. I mean, we're saying to the world, our people need 4% more to pay their bills. And half of the bills they pay sales tax on. So, I mean, it just seems to me like, are we going to come in at 2,000,005 and change?
Possibly, yes. We had.
I don't see how
was
this can
like
go
3
down.
months.
Why would this go down?
It has fluctuated in the past.
I understand, but we haven't had 5.9% inflation in the past.
I thought it was 6 point.
But then you would
Well,
think
I'm
that
sorry,
that-
5.9
you
in
would think
increase
that
in
that-
social security benefits, 6
Well, so
point.
I think that's going to get more stable, but in the past, it's been self-reporting. So my self-reported is I'm depending on you to report those purchases, so the fluctuation did not flow with like sales tax. So, you know, inflation and sales tax, I'm seeing it grow, I'm gonna go with the growth. Use tax, it was this. So I think it's going to get better,
Right.
but it has fluctuated significantly in the past.
We are definitely always more conservative on revenue.
Well, it's good to be conservative. It's not good to be unrealistically conservative.
I don't think, when the auditors come in, they do look at that compared to how we budget, compared to how it ended up. So
Right.
I don't think, we try, but there's certain,
Well, I mean, our 21 amended budget was 1,000,009. We're going to come in at 2.5 million, right? Am I looking at that right?
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, hindsight's 2020.
Well, so let's pull up previous years. We were not growing at that rate prior to. I think that is that self-reporting piece that we talked about. That was not relayed to us that was the reasoning.
Well, just to be argumentative like Jeff often is.
oh no, don't you start.
I mean, looking back, the 2020
I need a break,
activity
okay.
was, I'm rounding, the 2020 activity was 2.4 million. We budgeted 1.9, amended budget 1.9. It's going to come in at 2.5, and now we're budgeting at 2.3. That just doesn't compute to me. That should be a higher number, at least 2.5. But, a budget's a budget, so. We're not going to run out and spend $200,000 more on something just because we raised the budget here.
So here's that history. I don't know if you can see on the screen, but 16 we were 1.3, 17 we were 1.4, 18 we were 1.7, 19 we were 1.9. We jumped to that 2.2. And then we're taking larger jumps since then. I think it is that change. So if you guys are good with the 2.5 or possibly,
I vote 2.5, but I could be overruled.
I don't have a problem with that. I feel a little more comfortable knowing that the self-reporting is going on. Voluntary reporting, I should say. So like the Amazons and the people that don't currently have places here are voluntarily reporting that prior to the implementation of Wayfair. That was not relayed to the counties.
Okay.
I mean, if you guys, we can change it to 2.5. Are you all right? Sam, Jeff, we can do it.
I would like to think that it will be 2.5,
I don't know, I'm leaning more towards a 2-3. I just don't know what's gonna happen. I understand all the arguments, that extra money and there's in our contingency.
Okay, can we agree, I'll go with the 2.3 if you let me, a year from now, say I told you so.
I don't think I'll be able to stop you if it happens.
Okay,
You can go in and.
okay.
I think
We
you're
could
right.
go middle of the road and do 2
But I'd
floor.
rather err on the side of caution. And it's not just because I want to be conservative with it, it just if it, for some reason, does go bad, but I can't believe where the numbers are this year. This year has been a phenomenal year for sales tax. I did not see this coming. You could have definitely said, I told you so, if you said it was gonna be half of what it's increased this year.
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone told you so last year, because I put out, hey, sales tax is gonna go down the hole, and it went the opposite, so.
I
Yeah.
think we were lucky. I think we were one of the few counties, I think we were lucky.
I would say in counties like Boone, where they rely on that, influx of students, they saw some significant decrease in
Yeah, they got
sales
hit.
tax. We did not have that last year because of the pandemic.
But you also had people getting checks in the mail and they're remodeling their
Spending,
houses,
yeah.
they're,
You,
doing
you
some
saw, I don't know, you saw 10,000 new roofs in this town,
Yeah.
which had sales tax on the, well, not so much a tornado as that hailstorm.
Hailstorm, yes.
I agree with
It's all
Jeff, actually.
legitimate, wise, but I'm gonna mark my calendar for, and
Okay.
I told you so 1 year from now.
When we get the budget, we can,
Yeah.
I hope you're saying I told you so, we have
Yeah,
an 8%
that would
increase
be-
or
that
something.
would be,
That'd be great.
Not on the expense side, though.
Yeah, that would be, but I'm kinda like Jeff, I'd really cautious.
No?
Okay. All right, so the expense side, this is all your all's,
Do we need to agree on economic development?
Yeah, we
So
can.
have we actually sat down and said this is what it's gonna be, or?
No, we haven't. So right now in that line, we have the 5,000 we give to Salute to America. I had 60,000 for the lobbyist. I know that contract got signed, but it renews at a different time frame. So I didn't update that. I didn't have that information when I submitted the budget. I have the 120,000 for the Jeff City Regional Economic Partnership. And then we do have that line in there, and it did not get included here, it probably should, that loan fund grant application through Memo Regional Planning. We probably need to add that dollar figure back in there. Cause I think you did confirm, with David.
Yeah, we
that
checked on that.
is,
what was it,
Did
5,000?
did
I wanna
we,
say it's 7 something. right
have
now.
we ever had a line that said lobby line as opposed to it being combined with economic development?
So last year it split apart, so we.
I know we pay two different
General.
parties, but we've got one budget line, right?
They're both included in that economic development line.
Right.
It's just in the notes, they're separated.
Okay, I just think the fact that it's called economic development and it goes to a lobbyist is a misclassification. Can you add a lobbyist line?
We could, yes. I think if you're going to do that, the line most likely there would be a professional service. line.
Okay, that's fine.
So you could move that.
I think that would
Still
make
be
sense.
reported under the same
We
title.
kind of drift away from details sometimes when we, okay.
Well, we didn't have the lobbyist before.
Just know that
Got-
the history there has been the opposite. So
We didn't have
you're
a
gonna
lobbyist.
lose the history of it if you move it at this point because it has been there.
I understand.
Okay.
Is it advisable to address the folks that are standing at the
Sure.
doorway, and we can always come back to where
Sure.
we were? Let's do
Do you want to
that.
have them today?
Well,
Does Jeff-
somebody looks
does
to
Jeff
like they're
need
trying to
to-
come in here, or,
I
he
think,
was interested
I think
in
Sheriff
being
just
here
wants to
during
talk to us
this.
before we,
oh, is that it?
Are you here for,
you're just wanting to see if we're about done and we can,
Do you want to do your budget today?
No,
Oh,
I'm not ready for it, but.
You're wanting to talk to each one of us?
I just want to let you know what I'm asking for my budget, so that way there's no surprises. If you want to do my budget right now, I'm
And if-
ready, I can do it, but.
Your time
we
is
would rather
valuable.
wait until the paper's here because he wants to be here and has the schedule
Oh,
for
that's
tomorrow.
cool. The only other thing I'll say, since all three are here, we're talking about budget issues, and you're already aware of it. We're trying to, we order cars, we do and I already talked to Jeff, but I can talk to you too. We do a letter of intent.
am I the one that answers your calls?
You're the one that likes it,
I don't
Jeff.
answer.
I didn't know we had a choice.
I never got a chance to do guys. I had a meeting last night till about 9. But anyway, we do a letter of intent, and they accept the letter of intent for us to purchase 5 vehicles. They don't take them anymore, so we have to have a purchase order. So we want to go ahead and order 5 vehicles this year, out of my contingency money this year. And then next year's budget, then we will lower my capital improvements money for vehicles. We'll lower it that, however much money that turns out to be. So I have the transfer here with me, but it's a transfer, so it's not really anything we gotta.
It's just like we talked with the motor grader for
Yeah.
Public Works,
Oh,
the
yeah,
ordering
right.
in
Yeah.
place now
So-
to get next year
Yeah,
and.
and it's a transfer, and you're gonna see it, and it doesn't have to come from the commission, but it's a transfer, but I don't like to send transfers unless you guys are aware of what's going on.
Okay.
So when will you receive them?
It won't be till next year. We're
Yeah.
ordering, 3.
Next year in November.
No, I think March is the timeframe, but, it's.
Are they
All right, get your
electric?
gun out.
No, sir. It's 2 Dodge Chargers and 3 Durangos. We can't get Tahoes. You're not getting, if we're gonna get a Tahoe for 23, you have to order them in 22. But they're not taking any orders for Tahoes in 22. Or at least the state bid you can't. You might be able to get it elsewhere, but not through state bid. So that's why we're gonna go with Durangos. And I don't know, were you looking at Durangos at all? We'll give you
Talking with the city, I
That was
think
not
they
in
were
your
happy
budget.
with the Durango.
But if I have to order it next year, it might be.
So, but anyway. I just
But it
wanted-
wasn't in your
And
budget.
then, as far as my budget goes, I'll just sit down with you and just let you know, so that way if you have any questions.
Yeah, when we finish here, I'll give you I'll either come over there and when we get done, I'll text it. Did you get my text about the truck down in
Yeah,
Osage
we already
City?
got boy, he buried that truck, so
So,
we have
just-
staff over there right now.
so we still have people that follow the wrong directions, getting stuck down in Osage City, and so when I get a notification, I'll let the
On a
sheriff
Google
know.
map, the folks
I don't
are,
even know.
they're going into the prison back
They
way?
may have
Yes.
to unload the truck. I mean, it's.
They said it was
a bar
jackknifed
on
in
the
their back.
pavement.
Yeah, so we get ahold of Public Works and the sheriff, so there's a report, that way if they damage the
Highway
road,
patrol,
we can
yeah.
turn it into the, insurance, and that way, we're not footing the bill for their screw ups, and we've done everything we can as far as signs, blinking lights,
Who's that?
flashing
Right down from my
lights
house.
and stuff, arrows,
Last night, come home with
just,
We've contacted them, I don't know what else we can do, I mean.
that. It's gonna be burning.
we've tried it, we've gotten with MoDOT
But
even
there's too many
signs.
Is it a house
GPS
or a barn?
companies out there, it's not only Google, but it's all these other GPS companies now that
There's
have it.
fire trucks on my gravel road.
Well, they're following that, and they're not reading the signs, or they don't know how to read
They don't know how to
English,
read.
so I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know how to read
Somebody had that
in English.
a long time ago, but
Okay.
lost a whole bunch.
I'll get a hold of you then, Sheriff, and I'll come over when we get down here.
Eric, did you need anything?
I do, or you guys,
Well, we could it be, if it's under budget, I guess,
it's not.
oh, it's not. But what do we have? How do we, can we,
How much longer we got with
Old
this? This
business,
about
I
it.
mean, I don't know if it's old business.
Is
We
this
have
all-
health insurance fund and we probably have a good hour.
okay. Could we take a 10-minute adjournment?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's recess or take a 10-minute recess.
10
Sure.
minutes. Let's just leave this on, so. if you-
It's in your district.
So I walked in and gave this to Chelsea, and she goes, why didn't you just give it to Debbie? She's right in there with him. I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where the blue folders are, I'm sorry.
I get,
We can't
I might
afford
have
them.
2 of them.
Yeah, that's all I got is 2.
hairs in my eyes. I haven't had to get, because I was in quarantine, so I had to get my hair cut.
Would you just stop? We talked yesterday in the office about how easy men have it with hair and things.
I work 25 minutes a day on my hair.
It's on y'all.
That wet washcloth.
Okay.
You want me to save some of my shavings when I'm getting my hair cut? You can glue it in a little bit. They're about the
Glue it
same.
in. Glue it in.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
No, don't tell me.
You want
I'll get Kathy involved on this
to
one.
talk to me then?
She'll paint your nails for you too.
That way it'll save,
Absolutely.
it'll save.
Oh, Lordy. Oh, man.
Time sure flies when Chris Shepperly's no longer here.
Yeah,
You
we
guys were
seem,
done by what, 9:30?
we're not done yet, but,
Oh,
yeah. It's nice.
I know. So I said to Laura, I said,
We moved pretty quickly.
that's good.
I need to get up and move around though.
No, I had to get up. My left heel is still, I still have a problem.
We're gonna go through that pretty quick.
Well, if y'all just say yes to everything I asked for, I would think it would be fine.
We can be done in a
I
couple
really
of
think
days.
that.
All righty.
And then when you get a chance, like, I think I ran through with you this already, didn't I, Harry?
What was the issue?
The budget?
Yes.
Yeah, so you already know everything I'm doing.
So
Okay, good.
tomorrow when you come up, if we have
So it
any,
won't be any surprises.
yeah, if I think of something before then, I can throw it
Yeah,
at
if you have
you.
questions, yeah. And like I said, I'll be in tomorrow during the meeting. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer any there tomorrow. too.
There's that one with the sales tax in there too, so
Yeah.
we'll get to kinda kick around on that one. It's hard telling where it's gonna go.
I don't, like I said, I'm not as concerned about 22 as I am, 23 I think is whenever, yeah, that's fine. But 23 is,
Yeah, there's a lot.
but, all right, you want to give that to him in there?
You have to Debbie, I think.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hey,
All
thanks,
right.
guys.
Thanks, Sheriff. Thanks for sending them down to Osage City too, and
Yeah.
checking on that, cause if, we just fixed all that
They're
stuff
gonna be
down
there a
there.
while. Like I said, I don't know how they're gonna get that truck out of there, but
I don't know, just
see you later.
bang your head against the wall and figure it out as much as anything.
Chocolate cream. Yeah, I gave you my pecan for the sheriff.
Now we're back in here.
No,
No,
we'll start without them. We'll really mess with them. They come in here, we'll say, we're done.
I wanna put the Wall Street Journal in publications. They can improve my. Don't you wanna know about the Olson anniversary celebration? The Olson anniversary celebration that keeps coming. It's in there. Yeah, that's his mother. When she passed,
Yeah.
that's the memorials they made, and it's to be used for the 50th anniversary.
Did you bring her folders back down?
United States.
Did you have
So
two
we're
or
just
one?
a
The only
place-
thing, no, those were
we're just
yesterday.
a place-
Okay.
Hey, pecan pie's good too.
I don't think Perkins has pecan.
Okay, the
I'm
chocolate-
gonna add 10 lines to my budget, is that okay?
Yeah, not now.
See you later.
127, did we, oh, we want to go on the expense side.
Is Jeff ready?
Well, he's the one who told me to get in here. Okay.
Harry, did you have other questions about expenses in 127?
Thank you, I see it now.
We got Mac, Midmo,
Those are those two organizations that we join that we have to pay annual fees for.
where does C-Com, or C,
So you can't.
Cole County,
You pay
C-Cam
those
go?
fees out of your meetings, travels, and dues in 122.
Okay,
These are
So then-
association, they help us with getting office supplies on that contract and stuff.
okay. Parking, who are we paying that to?
That's to the city for the lots, the spaces we lease from them.
Where are they?
We have
With-
lot 5 and 6, and then we have,
Now, we quit leasing the one we bought, right?
Right,
Okay.
right, that
Sheila
one
Park,
just
she
went
goes
away.
down-
And where was that?
that was the
That was,
I know, but where was it
it
on
was
the
coming
budget?
out of parking.
Well, why wouldn't it drop a lot?
It should. We weren't sure at the time when I submitted the budget that we were.
So that's gonna go
We
to,
hadn't closed
that was,
it.
Yeah,
that
we
was
hadn't
right at
closed on it.
$1,000 a
We
month,
hadn't
what?
closed it yet.
That was, wasn't it 1,000 a month or 900 a
It's
month?
810.
Yeah.
810? So that's gonna go
Yep,
away.
it will reduce.
Okay.
So let's just do that while we're in here.
So then we're still talking about memberships and stuff.
We can.
How many do we have for the chamber? Do we have
We don't have
anybody
any.
paid? We
Nobody
don't
is.
have anybody, so we do have some people that are members of it though, but
Maybe
they're all
Only
under,
personally,
they're paying it out of their own. Are you a member, Kristen?
not anymore.
Okay.
Mine went away when they changed that.
You're a member,
I'm
right,
a
Sam,
member.
but you paid it through your own?
Yes.
I thought we had some that we, okay, so anyway, meeting with their new director, he's got a proposal that basically would let the entire county be a member. Total was $1,666. That would basically put, the
Is that just
presiding.
elected officials or that's every employee?
That's, what he's got down here are the, based on our full-time employees, 195, I guess, full-time, 173 part-time, something like that, some kind of weird numbers here, but it's
Those are
total of 360 something. Or no, that's just the first, it's been a while since we went over this, so.
Okay, I was
bear
gonna
with me,
say,
I'm sorry.
360 is more reasonable than, go ahead.
So 360 may be the total, but say for the first, you get your first 5 included with your fee of the $330, and then your next 195 would be at a $4.10 per person, and the next 173 would be $3.10. Total's 1166 or 1666.
So is this kind of what the Board of Realtors is doing?
Yeah, so everybody that's an employee of the county would be an associate member. If there was something they wanted to attend or some kind of benefit that chamber has, they'd be able to enjoy. I'd be willing to try it for a year. I mean, I know there's differences between small businesses and stuff, but for us to be involved with them, I don't think it's a bad idea to try for that.
I'm okay with that.
So, I know I don't remember when we met about this summer a couple of times, and we met, so I don't know where that would come from, if we need to add it in somewhere. if
Well, we
that's one
could
of the things
change that description of that line to like professional organizations or something. I mean, we do have organizations in other lines, but since we've been consistently paying things like this out of here, or we could add a separate organizations line into, or you could put that as meetings, travels, and dues in 127, since we're not going to really be paying a lot of things out of there. I don't know, there's options if you wanted to add it in.
Okay, so we can get down to the nitty gritty part of that when we do the
1600.
finalization.
1,600, is that what you said?
1660.
1666 is what
I just put
I've
it
got
under
here.
meeting, travel, and dues, because it's,
And put it in the notes if you.
I am. So I'm gonna leave it blank at the moment, but let's talk about, unless you guys want to decide now, it doesn't matter. I did reduce the parking in 127, so we do have some money that was freed up in there.
Okay. All right. That took one thing off my list, so.
Do you want to add that? Or
Do
do
we
I
have
have two
another
of
one?
you that want to add that?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cost was
Yeah.
1666, I'll get some final numbers from Gary if he just wants to use that for
And so-
2022.
Do you want an additional amount? Like I had 2,000 in there to begin with. Do you still need that 2,000?
I'd like to keep that cushion in there if we can, just for stuff that may come up. Sheila's doing a really good job at doing these trainings, sexual harassment and stuff countywide. So if it comes to the point where she needs material, or we want to expand and maybe have somebody else come in and speak or talk or something, I don't know if
Yep.
that's the place or, but.
Yep, that,
But she's done a really good job getting to most
You
of the
don't want me to
departments.
talk?
No,
I'll do it for free.
no. Then we'll have to talk about you, so.
what about mileage in there? Could it go away? Or you wanna leave mileage in there?
Do we have mileage of 122?
Yes. Did I increase it? I don't know.
We can do it out of 122. As long as there's. Gosh darn it.
No, I actually decreased it. You want me to?
At least put it back where it was, and then you could get rid of the other 200. Oh, no, you have 500 in there.
I have 500, but it was 1,000.
Yeah, if you could go back.
So you want me to take this 200 out? Are you guys go with that?
We just won't have mileage in here.
You're moving it somewhere else.
Right.
Eliminating a line.
Yes.
You won't have a history then.
Well,
that
so we're
history's
moving
on.
all
I'm
of that
just teasing
training.
you.
Yeah. We're moving all that training. It makes more
Right, you
sense
don't
to
have
move the
anything to
mileage
throw.
with it. Yeah. You should be glad about that, Lawson.
Here, Sam gets pretty dangerous with this thing. I'll let you have it.
Give her the pickle.
I think the pickle's breakable.
Huh?
Oh, no, it's not.
That might hurt. You gotta say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It shuts off. Which one of you?
The only other one that can maybe a issue is the insurance. Insurance is for the whole liability, general, the 175. I'm not sure what we're going to get as a renewal. We should have that within a week or so.
Why is it so much lower projected than what we're gonna, budget versus what we project?
Part of that, so the only thing in the budget included for next year is our premiums. If we have claims, they run through there during the year. So we amend that budget with those claims that are rolling through there. So like if
Okay,
we have a car that gets totaled or something, that cost is running through that insurance line as well.
And the deductibles, we don't know how many.
Right.
And the way I understand the deductible amount is going to go up next year too, for sure, if we stay with travelers. So that will then,
this is being too optimistic, isn't it? I mean, just looking at history.
I think I put 3% on all the insurance lines across the board. I included a 3% increase.
because we will take part of them out of that fund, like law enforcement, public works. But it's all about the claims that we have during the year and the deductibles that we'll have to pay. And,
So Harry, if I look at that projected number in there,
Mhm. The 237?
yeah, so almost $80,000 of that was claims during the year.
Don't we have history of claims every year?
It is, but as we receive a check from them, it's court ordered in during the year. Like it happens as a process that comes in with the check or
Okay,
the actual claim.
sometimes we'll budget in like three or four vehicles deductibles.
Right, so we do have a cushion there of claims. I think it's $5,000 in general fund.
But if our deductible does go up, right, we were at 1,000. This year's our first year at 2,500. Next year, I think the proposal is at 5,000.
Now,
And
did
that-
you-
I'm
did
talking
you-
about vehicles.
okay, did you say that the 175 and change is a premium number?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that just being unrealistic to, it is the premium, but we also we add deductibles to that as the year goes on.
Right, but the budget changes with those deductibles.
I understand, but we're being inconsistent earlier when we were keeping that revenue down. Why can't we, it seems like we keep the revenue down, under revenue projections are down being conservative. We've just flipped 180 here.
But there's no
So in this
revenue.
circumstance, you're getting a revenue as well.
Yeah.
So all
Oh.
I'm paying out of here is my deductible, so my $2,500.
Yes.
The revenue coming in from the insurance company for that claim gets court ordered into the revenue and the expense.
Court order being a way of amending the budget.
Correct.
Okay, I'm saying we easily amend the budget here but we won't, we never amend the budget on the revenue side. Is that true during a year?
No,
we
you
do
do.
both sides.
You
On-
do, if you're doing both sides.
Well,
That
if
is-
you're doing both sides.
But that's
Right.
the only time we can do a court order.
Right.
It has to balance. So we have to do both sides in a court order. A transfer, obviously, that's one expense to another. But a court order, it has to go on both sides.
Okay, but halfway through the year is, and here's a what if. What if halfway through the year, you have received, what was that, stock insurance? What if halfway through the year, you received $3 million?
You can't amend the budget.
Yeah.
Right.
You
But
can.
I don't know that you can.
Unexpected revenue.
So you could court order it in then.
We don't, because we don't really want to put it on the expense side. I mean, we could.
Well, you don't have to put it on expense side. You just.
Well, you have to. A court
Why?
order has
Why?
to balance.
Well, not if, the only thing that the only change that happened that was unexpected is you get a $3 million check from the state for stock insurance and you only budgeted 1.2. We just sit back and say, well, thanks a lot, we're good, right?
Right.
We don't do a court order, we don't amend the budget.
No.
But on the other side, if we run into big expenses in insurance, we say, oh, we need more money there now, let's amend the budget so we can spend the money. I guess I'm just seeing an inconsistency from revenue versus
What difference
expense.
does it make if you receive additional tax money and you're just going to put it into contingency? We're going to carry it forward no matter what. So in that circumstance, it doesn't matter if I court order it in unless I'm going to put it in an expense line to spend. It
You're
doesn't
kind
matter.
of expensing it in contingency.
You're not.
Well, what
It's
I did
sitting.
for you, a vehicle is total. We get $30,000 from the insurance company. I court order in the $30,000 on the revenue and expense to go buy a new one. But then I also do a transfer of $2,500 from contingency for that deductible.
If you anticipated okay, no, just stay with me a minute. If we anticipated $30,000 of deductible and put it here, and we did have $30,000 of deductibles, we wouldn't need or have a court order to change it.
We
You
would
still
have the
would.
court order, we wouldn't have the transfer. You'd still have the court order to get that money from the insurance company.
If the
No,
insurance company
you don't
has-
get any money from the insurance company. We're paying.
No.
No, the
If
check-
they pay on the
it-
vehicle.
Only the deductible end of it. If they're,
That's
if
what
they're
I'm talking about.
covering, this is, the claims in here is the actual purchase of the additional vehicle or the
Yes.
repair to the vehicle that the insurance is paying me for. So you go total your car, they give you a check for $20,000 to replace your car. That's what you're seeing in here. The 20,000 coming into me so I could go buy a new vehicle and spend the
Probably
20,000.
$30,000.
What if you have a $10,000 damage and you got a $5,000 deductible? Don't we end up paying the body shop $5,000?
No, we pay the whole amount.
Well, net, we pay
Yes,
them.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
Are we providing for those deductibles?
So I
Because you
had-
told me this was nothing but premiums
No,
here.
there's $5,000 in there for deductibles. We were 2,500. That's two vehicles.
5,000 times what?
Huh?
One time?
No, it was 2,500. I didn't know about the five. So I had two vehicle crashes included in there.
Okay. What's our experience?
But that's just general fund vehicles. This is just general
Okay.
fund. If it's in the sheriff's department, there's $10,000 or $15,000 in the sheriff.
Okay.
There's another $10,000 or $15,000 in EMS. So there is a built-in amount of claims, but guessing what those claims are. The year we had 15 vehicles that got hit by hail,
Yeah,
I never.
Okay.
I'm still working on those, but there comes to the point, if you just guess and you put all that money in there, unfortunately, other departments have a lot of play money, and then they can move that money if they want to move it, because we've allowed them to move within their budget. So that's why we never had actually put that money in there, because we have no idea. Sheriff could have 8 or 10 in 1 year, and you put all of that deductible money in there, well, and they didn't have any, they could go buy a new car with that money.
Okay.
yeah, we've had them
Unfortunately, that-
hit deer, they hit a
how it
lot
used
of
to go.
deer, we've had them,
So it's
Slide
kind of
on
a guess
ice.
what that claims number is, and if it's going up to 5,000, this probably should increase to 10 or 15.
And we'll know in a week or so.
Right. So, but there is that built into each of those bigger funds. This is just general fund, and in general fund we only have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'm starting to get it
10
now, really.
cars, maybe?
Yeah.
At the inside baseball here, are really down the rabbit hole in the weeds, is if we put it in there for an elected official, their budget is bigger than maybe necessary, and because it's there, it's eligible to be moved to here, to here, to here.
And we have many departments that do a good job of
We've
not
come
doing
in better,
that.
we've come a long
Right.
way.
But
Okay.
we have some departments that any extra money they have, they will find a way to play or move. So.
You're seeing a lot of transfers this time of year.
Yeah, so just, there's trying to
Yes,
find
that's
that
right.
balance of, I'm gonna put in there what I think you need, and, you know, how much is too much to give you too much room to play.
Okay.
So it's balancing that out. I don't think in any circumstance, I would say that a car crash is unexpected, a hailstorm is unexpected. Those are things that contingency is there for. We expect those transfers. I don't want you to pad every line in your budget for the unexpected. I want you to put in there what your actual true costs are, and the unexpected gets moved throughout the year.
Well, I hear you, and to a degree, I agree, except to say this. Every year, we have experienced some level of loss. I mean, when we've got, how many vehicles do we have? And maybe because they're split into so many different departments, it starts to get down to fewer.
And
But-
I will have to say, the last 3 years, we have ticked up ads.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Before that, we were nowhere near what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And why that is, I don't know, other than, well, some unstream, tornado,
Okay.
hail damage.
Weather,
All right, I've
stolen SUVs.
I spent enough time on this, so I'm good.
I mean, I'm open to
Yeah.
suggestions.
No, well, I
but
just
we-
needed more explanation
Yeah.
because really you're trying to build a wall here that, and it's a good idea that, okay, you can't say to some elected official, here's your pot of money, go knock yourself out, when you've jacked that pot of money up higher because of some anticipations of losses that don't occur, because those losses will get called desks or
Right.
cars
Exactly.
or trips or
Yes.
whatever.
And
Yes,
then we are in the
Alright,
audit, you're not budgeting very good,
Got it.
you're not.
Okay.
so in general fund, there's probably about 8 cars, just my quick calculation. So the estimate was 2 of the 8 we could possibly, so we kind of go through that process of, here's the number in that fund. Obviously, sheriff and EMS have more vehicles than most of their number is higher, but we do build in that, like she said though, that deductible amount is changing, so we probably need to adjust that with that change.
Okay, got it. Quick question. What goes in probate expense?
That is the cases where the judge assigns a person to us, but it's not a ward of Ralph's. So they can assign those court costs to us on a probate case, but it's not a ward that falls under the public administrator.
Okay,
There's statute that allow that to happen. And we have no idea what that costs from year to year.
This year's not looking so bad. Last year,
It's awful.
yeah.
I think I need the Wall Street Journal, and Jeff needs the Off-Roading Magazine on publications. Huh?
Have you gotten anything from the city on animal
No,
shelter?
you don't want
What
the
that
Off-Roading
change is?
Magazine?
I don't
I
need to
saw
turn my
911,
Jeep up
but I
more,
didn't see
that's just
animal
money
shelter.
in there. Give me some like good housekeeping.
Anything else in 127?
I think we've beaten that dog enough.
So right behind 127 is the health insurance fund. This fund is healthy. We've done a good job of limiting that health insurance cost, so, you will see payroll deduction on our end going into that fund, from each department that has payroll. Medical services in there is the reinsurance, so the people that are going over the 75,000 in medical claims, our reinsurance kicks in and they start paying us back for everything over that point. And then on the expense side, obviously, we've built in, some wellness money, to be used by the wellness committee. Insurance is actually our fixed costs plus those variable costs of employees' health stuff up to the $75,000 mark. Reimbursement of personnel services is, the wellness person at the health department. That one's kind of lagged off from where we expected due to COVID and her being reassigned to that kind of stuff instead of focusing on wellness. It could tick back up. It just kind of depends on how things go. And then obviously we've got a healthy contingency in there. At some point, we're going to get to the point where we need to talk about, do we want to offer more wellness incentives? Do we want to, change around those benefits a little bit to offer something a little more? Do we want to cut back on the fees we're paying in? I don't know that that's a good idea. So this is a fund that going forward, you probably need to think about what that looks like going forward because, I mean, the projection is a contingency of 3.8.
Which is about 160,000 increase, 170
Oh,
from 3 point,
amended budget.
Well,
this year.
from 3.3 to 3.8. So you're about,
3.3. Well,
it's better to look at cash. So
I'm
your
looking at
cash.
cash.
Yeah, so your
forward.
cash forward went from 3.1 in the 2021 budget to 3.6. And it's that 449,955
Oh,
at the
okay,
bottom.
those are the two numbers.
And assuming the cash forward is.
Yeah, and you know, this is the time of year where we have, is it a
Deductibles have been met.
Yeah,
people are
so
doing more.
people are doing more, so this time of the year is when that plays a little more into it, and that will kind of determine what that reinsurance and things look like, because we have, is it a 60 or 90 day, 60 day lag?
At least, yeah, I
Yeah, so
think,
we won't see true cost of 2021
Till
until
the end of
March or
February, March.
April of 2022.
you know, this is healthy, but it's good to be healthy.
It is, but we also need to think about, we do have that reinsurance in place. Our max liability is at a certain dollar amount before we have a reinsurance that kicks in. Once we've built up our contingency to cover that cost, we need to start talking about,
We could go from 75 to 100 or something, if we
The
want.
premium, depending on, you look at it then, and Wall
Right.
Street has done that. We went from 50 to 75 when it made sense.
Right.
You know, when the premium deduction made sense to do that.
The-
And our liability because of the two.
so
I
we've
think
been
they-
seeing about a $450,000 surplus to
Carrying
us
over.
the last couple of years. So that's kind of the number we have to play with, that,
And keep in mind, we've only changed the premium cost once in the whole time we've been in reinsurance.
right.
So, which is impressive compared to what the market is doing to other employers.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
And sometimes a small change of, say your copay goes from $30 to $25. For some people, that's a significant change. What would that cost us if we ran, how many copays do we pay, and what would that $5 a copay difference be? You know, something like that is significant to the employee, but would make a change to this number as well, so.
When we really dig into this is in September, or when did
Yeah.
they give us that history meeting? Was that,
Yeah,
It
it's
was-
into
September, October?
First part of October.
When they
Okay.
get the renewals for
Yeah.
the stop loss and stuff is usually.
'Cause
I mean,
it's-
we do go over there, we went over there in April when we got the
Okay.
first quarter done.
Oh,
So-
that's what it was, and then we did the other one by remote, was it?
Yeah, or they actually came here. Yeah,
They-
we did one, we did twice.
Yeah,
Because I
okay.
wanted Sheila involved in the process.
Yeah, and usually this is about the time I'm submitting the budget, so it
Yeah.
crosses over to where we don't have that renewal yet, but we kind
Okay.
of guess to where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go down the list. There's some, I don't know if you want to look at directly, so, we do budget some of the so-called slush funds of the different departments, so like Larry was here, we didn't talk about tax maintenance, we didn't talk about election services, we didn't talk
What
about
page?
recorder's special fund.
What
Which one do you want to talk about? You just want to take them down the list?
The thing with those are you can't really do anything
Yeah.
with them. The money that comes in has to be, but you can, and you can't shorten their budget because of them. But some stuff that they may want or need or asking you for, they could use
They
out of their
have,
fund.
they have their funds.
Yes.
Yeah, so, really, they're just more of a carry forward. We take the fees they project, they get to carry forward any balance they don't have. And then most of the time, they only have a single line in their budget to spend from, because those funds are restricted on the purposes set aside in the statute.
The big thing with some of those funds is the MOUs, like Judy was talking about, she has that one employee that we're paying or she's paying the benefits for, and then she also has an agreement on some part-timers, and then we have the one with the prosecutor, and then, the sheriff,
Donnell's the one that kind of,
yeah, Donnell. So just keep those in mind in those funds.
Like Beetlejuice, you said my name.
Oh my gosh.
Beetle guys.
and keep in mind, like, some of those funds, I think they are healthy as well.
There you go.
So there are circumstances where that fund is set up to pay for certain costs.
Can you send us maybe a list of elected officials and their funds,
Just the balances they have, or what?
just so we have them?
I think a lot of times we kind of, when they come up with something they need, they've got an idea what they want to spend it on.
And really, you guys don't have authority over those funds. They are
So,
budgeted.
We can always
Uh,
ask them to spend it out of their slush fund.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when it
But-
comes to the actual expense, it's their authority to spend it.
I don't know, unless there's something you can think of that you're wanting to use. the
No,
slide for.
no, right now I have no,
Another one we didn't talk about, domestic shelter. It's the fees from the recorder that go into a domestic shelter fund. That then, right now, the only people that have
Agency.
applied for it is RACs. So we pay RACs twice a year. They have submitted their information to be approved for that again. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Expense to RACs out. We do have a fund for the coroner.
And I did get a letter from Sam yesterday or the day before the coroner, the autopsy cost is going up.
Okay. So yes, in the coroner's fund, we pay a professional services charge to, I don't even think he's actually a coroner in our county because he's not elected. I think he's considered a medical examiner.
Oh,
Page 77 is what.
Which his fee has not changed since I've been here.
He has approached it, but it's been many years. I'm assuming if he ever retires, this will be hard to find.
yeah, it will
Right.
be.
And then,
Carl?
Mhm.
and then autopsies is kind of a guess.
How much was it going up? Did you,
I don't know.
So 250
So.
was,
Right now, it looks
Was
like we're paying
$2,500.
$2,100 per autopsy.
yeah,
so
was,
that tells
was,
you how many we had up there?
This is the ones we've paid for this year, so we're at 44,194.
So about 220 of them this year? Oh, no, they're
20,
2,000 each.
about
Yeah, 2,000.
22 of them this year.
Yeah,
If it's going up 250, so another $1,100, something like that.
so I
Wait.
think,
Is that right? Or half of that? Hurt my head. I was trying to mathematize in my head real quick.
I mean, yeah, it's really a guess. It's unexplained deaths and certain youth fatalities that require an autopsy.
mhm.
So
So-
could just leave it alone if this was a big year.
I think that may be the case, is you leave it at 42,000 and we kind of wait and see what happens. I don't know.
Over there.
Just me, since I'm the corner sometimes, maybe if you leave it where it's at now, then you look at the numbers and say June and see where you're at.
We want to keep the corner. I mean, he's the only one who can rescue you,
Sure.
so.
That's right. Just remember though, if we get out of town, I'm the corner, so I'm untouchable then.
It's gonna be fun watching you cuff yourself. I bet you've done that before, haven't you?
I'll fight.
Honey, can you come bring me the key to the handcuffs again?
That's Barney Five.
Did you lock yourself in the bathroom again? Oh, Sheriff Corner.
5% increase.
So you're saying
And
250?
$100
I'm fine with
charge
leaving it
will
alone
be
too.
assessed.
We can talk, we can get deeper in the weeds in there.
It's 5% on
Go with
21.
Well, is the 2,100 the cost, or does it include some sort of fee already?
Oh, it's the COVID test, it's the 125.
The COVID, they do have to do a COVID test on each one of them then?
Yeah, it's down at the bottom.
No, there's ARPA funds for that.
Oh, jeez.
So it'll go to 2,325.
You're having to test
I know,
the
but to
dead
find
body
out all
for
this stuff.
COVID. Reimburse ourselves for
2,325
it,
with
right?
that COVID test is the new cost per autopsy from the 2,100.
Okay.
So it's up to you guys. If you want to increase it, we can. If you want to, like I said, it's guessing to be how many they are.
I would take this year's experience and times the new per case charge, just to
Okay.
be a little closer.
Two other ones we didn't talk about, school fund. School fund is fines and fees and financial institution tax that comes in, that gets paid out to the schools. That distribution of fee, or fines and fees happens once a year. Taxes happen when they come, so it's financial institution tax comes in December and January.
It's just
We
in
do
and
it.
out.
Everything that goes in that fund gets paid back out to the schools, so we're just estimating what we think those fees and things are.
Okay. What page
and-
are we on? What page?
You wanna look at school fund? Yes, 31.
That's a surtax, isn't it?
And then over plus that you see at the bottom is the tax sale money. So anything over the amount of taxes owed on a property that's sold on the tax sale gets escrowed in that account for I think it's down
Is
to
it 2
two.
years?
Yeah, 2 years, and then gets paid back out,
To,
if it's not claimed.
right, to the owners.
No, I think to the schools. To the schools.
Well, this is the access. It should go back to.
Mm-mm.
Well, the owner has 2 years to come get it. If they don't,
Yeah,
then it goes to the
if
tax
they
don't
man.
submit it.
Right, if they don't come and claim it, then it goes to the
Yeah.
schools. And then NID fund is on page 35. We currently have 3 NIDs that are still active, Parkview Meadows, Randall Drive, and Ketterman Lane, I think is the third one. It's either Ketterman or Fanewood, I don't know which one of them.
You're doing better than me.
2023, I think, is the final payment on
Ketterman?
the Ketterman or Fanewood,
That
whichever one
one's
it
gotta
is.
be about done.
So we will be down to the 2 we added 2 years ago. But this is just the fees paid as a special assessment on taxes that comes in, and then that money is then used to pay the debt service payments on those improvements. And they have a 20-year life, so those Parkview and Randall will be on there for a while. I don't have any other things to talk about today unless you guys have other things with sales tax or any questions about any of the ones we've talked about prior to. Financial institution tax fund is on page 37 or 38. It is just an in and an out. Whatever tax money comes in gets paid back out to the districts that they tell us.
What page were that on?
37.
It's like 37 or 38.
It's at the bottom of 37, the financial institution.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
It's actually reduced quite a bit in the last few years. That amount of tax has gone down. That one's kind of like stock insurance. It fluctuates based on,
The reporting of the
yeah,
banking.
yep.
talk about the capital, if you want to talk, but we're not through all the departments, well, that may be asking for something, or are we?
No, well,
Give me that number again for the
Courts.
capital.
Well, 119, yeah. Not that I'm saying you have to make decisions on what you're wanting to approve, but the overall budget itself is kind of a plugged-in number, and you can make those decisions as departments bring forward maybe their estimates of getting a bid done. But the courts hasn't come, so that's probably, they're gonna talk about their wants, so we can wait till after that too. Other than that, I think we've hit mostly all the others.
so just to recap for tomorrow, circuit clerk, assessor, court security, EMS, sheriff, court services, child support, prosecuting attorney are on the list yet, still to go.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, sheriff's on the list, that's for sure.
and we're starting at 8?
30.
Well,
The-
we have 8 o'clock for BKD. It's
Oh,
going to be
okay.
on the-
Yeah, if we can, I'd like to sit in on that.
Well, it's
Call.
yours.
It's yours, it's on your agenda.
Oh,
It's a commission meeting.
I thought you were just talking to her.
No, no.
Nope,
Oh, so then we're starting at 8.
yes.
Okay. What Sam said, we're starting at 8. Right, boss?
You were on us up today at
You
8,
were
so I'm
right.
like, you know,
Yeah,
well,
we're trying to sleep in and everybody wanted to get after it, so. Okay, so then, so we need to have our
No.
questions ready for them tomorrow.
It's just
It's
Teresa's.
clear as
part.
mud.
It's clear as mud is right.
Well, the stuff she sent us though was, I mean, it's a good starting point. We're not gonna do retroactive, but this gives us, because she's saying she does not recommend going blanket, every employee gets it, so we gotta check them boxes.
I think she's pretty much said not everyone can get it.
Right.
That's a no-no, right?
I think you can
Like I
get
said,
pretty
it's-
creative and
it-
say that everybody that is
Well-
working is being required to work.
So I
and
guess-
essential to keep the,
Right, so
County
there is
open.
some language in there that says, you know, essential services. So which departments of the county could you close down and not provide their service?
Everybody would say none.
So, like I said, clear as mud. They don't fall into that top
that's where it
list
came down.
of things,
Right.
but if you read the 3 or 4 paragraphs after that, it's very unclear to me what the line in the sand is.
That's where it would
But
come down.
whomever, whatever department you pick that is going to get, is the right term relief money?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
in
it's,
this, in this circumstance, premium pay.
Premium pay. Premium pay, according to BKD, you have to check the box that this area, this person qualifies for premium pay.
More than just checking, you have to
Right, I mean, you
list
got
and
it.
specify.
Yeah.
You do, and,
Yes.
and I read it quickly, but it was not everyone.
So yes, the definition of an eligible worker, those workers needed to maintain continuity of operations of essential critical infrastructure sectors and additional sectors as the governor can say that you are essential. It requires regular in-person interactions or physical handling of items that were also handled by others.
That's everybody.
That's very broad, and I could,
Well, it is, but if your work is done in a closet by yourself, you're not gonna get it.
Well, nobody has that job.
Well, we've got some close to that. What if the only thing you do is take a phone call and forward that phone call? That's it.
Are you having to get out of your office
Nope.
to get stuff to retrieve?
Well, you go,
supplies
yes, but
Well,
I mean-
that's where it gets gray to me, because you're on site at some point, or you have to be around and interact at some points. So we don't have to go, down that rabbit hole. This can be, each department has to submit their information, and we can run it by BKD to essentially audit it and make the decision. And it doesn't have to be us saying, well, you've been working at home this whole time, I don't want to pay you, because the rest of these guys been coming in here and
well,
putting
they
themselves at
they
risk.
make note of remote, remote doesn't qualify, right?
Right,
Now,
but-
if you're remote some of the time and not
Well,
all the
and
time.
I don't think we're going backwards,
Yeah, we're
and
not.
at this point,
Yeah.
I don't know that we have anybody remote, so I
Okay,
think
but-
that piece of it kind of falls off unless you still have people working remotely.
Well, what if we instituted it and, hey, that person sitting right there qualifies, but then next week, that person begins to work remote.
I think with every payroll, you would have to be signing off saying that that person
Right.
was in person and performing the duties that you had specified that qualified them for the
bet-
premium.
And
I
at
bet
this-
they're gonna say that tomorrow, is that everybody sign off, because then we get the form saying that if they find out they haven't been, it kinda goes back on them instead of us.
And since this is, we can't go backwards, we have to go forward, I don't know how you can, even some of the departments now, we're all do handle COVID stuff with the number of cases versus what our people have to face. I mean, you know, we don't do tracking, we don't do a lot, we don't do the shots. You know, how are you going to justify all of that?
Justify what?
That this person is doing COVID work, or has
It,
to.
it's not doing COVID work, it's
Not
you're
doing
here
COVID
Essential.
so
work,
that
but
we can be
essential.
It's
open
like
and
essential
perform county
work.
duties.
Uh,
Whether it be the sheriff out there enforcing the law, EMS, health department,
maintenance,
recorder, collectors taking money, they have to take stuff that's been touched by the public. You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
auditor has to come down here and deal with us. We couldn't let her sit up in her own little cube.
I don't
and
qualify because I'm elected.
We
neither
put you
do
in a bubble. You got employees.
I got employees, yes. So yes, like I said, clear as mud. I don't think
Yeah.
that there's a clear cut path, and I think that you
I'm just
almost
saying.
are going to have to require each department to justify the employees in their department and how they qualify. But we could talk to BKD tomorrow and get their thoughts on it, but I think that you're going to have to go through that process to make sure the documentation is in place.
and I like that they have to do the approval part.
If we can push it off on them, we're paying them enough
There-
money, let's do it.
There is in that second email, kind of a draft policy from another organization.
I think we'd have to sign off, the commission has to adopt a policy
Yes.
and say that the policy stays within the rules and regs
Yes.
and so on and so
I
forth.
was really, that policy is retro, so which
Yeah,
surprises
can't-
me.
so,
I know.
Well-
and they are Kansas, so.
Yeah, but they're looking forward too on theirs, aren't they? Don't they have a suspense date that it stops?
Yeah, the end of this year, I think,
I-
December 20th. It's on
It-
some,
yeah, 12/31 of 2021.
Right.
but they were definitely going back.
It's only effective 9/8 of 2021 to 12/31 of 2021.
When did they adopt the policy? though?
Retroactive period is March 13th of 2020 to March 24th of 2021. I don't know Kansas Constitution. I do
Right.
know Missouri Constitution, and we are not going backwards.
Right.
So,
And they do have some sort of schedule where they are putting people into categories. So like group 1A is people that are required to be on site with public exposure and no remote work options. And then there's 1B is positions that require on site with cloistered exposure, limited I'm assuming, and no remote work options. Then there's 2A, which is a different category that require both on-site with public exposure and have remote work options. Then there's a 2B, are positions that require both on-site with cloistered exposure and have remote work options.
and I don't know if that's
So-
different premiums for different ones.
I'm assuming it is, but I don't know that there's a schedule that tells me that attached to this. So,
We can ask
I
Teresa
think
that.
that's a question too, is maybe there's a huge amount of people that qualify, but maybe their amount is different based on what group they fall into. I
Well,
don't
we've had
know.
some offices, part of the staff would be at home certain days or
Well, I think,
yeah, they
whatever.
staggered.
I think,
And
yeah.
so they had the option
They
of either
staggered.
to be away, but we also had EMS, sheriff, and health, custodians, a lot of people that, they didn't get that option. You can't clean toilets from your own house.
And then they do require,
Spray down.
the employee to sign off, a supervisor to sign off, proof of hours that they worked on site, and proof of the pay rate at the time the hours were worked. So you have to document what their current rate of pay is versus what they're getting to make sure that they're not hitting that threshold of more than $13 an hour more, or the $25,000 total. So you have to document both pieces of that. You have to have proof of what their current pay is, that you would have paid them anyway, and proof of what you're paying in premium pay to make sure that you're never hitting that threshold.
Yeah.
Nah, not a big deal.
Okay,
So-
we'll talk to him
I get
tomorrow.
a paycheck stub that tells me what I make every month. And then you just do the math that you're not gonna go over $13 an hour. And I don't think anything that any of us are gonna propose is gonna bring it anywhere near that. So, there's one person that is already getting some hazard pay, I think is what we actually qualified that as, but that'd be the only one that may be pushing over the limit. We'd have to keep.
You guys got anything else today?
No.
No, you're
See
done
you
early.
in the morning. I guess you need a
Motion to adjourn and stand in recess till 4:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I just like the recess. I didn't know about the other part of it. He kick you out over there or what?
Are you using this to set up that meeting? I don't know how to do it, so you're on your
I
own.
don't know if I remember. I do it every day.
You supposed to call
Brian,
Brian
ask
now?
Brian.
I know, but I'm gonna try them.
Call him Dr. Brian. Dr. Brian.
No one signed in.
You want that?
Yeah, Kristen, sign us in.
I signed me in.
I did, I told her.
I don't have a pen. You got a pen?
Yes, please. What is this?
I don't know. It's popping up